for this fixture, should it be required. Great atmosphere here, Pat. Can the team now match the occasion?
It'll be really interesting to see how Scotland start. I think they'll be absolutely on the front foot. They're going to try and chase this ball down right from the start and try and impose themselves on the opposition. And if Scotland could get that early goal, this place will erupt. It would make it a much easier afternoon.
Alan, what are you looking out for today?
Yeah, just a confident performance, as Pat alluded to earlier. That kind of combination play between Robertson and Tierney getting forward. Maybe Jack will slip into that hole. But really looking forward to it, just getting going and getting this off to a flying start, hopefully.
So Scotland in their new kit, same colours of course, the dark navy shirts, white shorts, red socks. They will play from left to right as we look down. Cyprus in white shirts, blue shorts, white socks. The Hampden roar in evidence as Stuart Armstrong prepares to get us started inside the centre circle. Number 17 on his back, rolls it back to Kieran Tierney, immediately to the left hand side to Andy Robertson, who launches the ball high into the Cypriot half. Header out by Roberge, but one back near the centre circle for Scotland again by Armstrong. And then a ball is sent over the top by Cyprus, which Ryan Porteous will backpedal to get under his control. And Aaron Hickey, who's the youngest player in this Scotland squad and this Scotland team, rolls the ball back to Angus Gunn. So an early touch of the ball for the goalkeeper on his debut. Angus Gunn, who's now the 54th different player to be selected for Scotland by Steve Clarke in these 4 years that he's been in charge. Ryan Porteous, who moved clubs in January from Hibs to Watford, scored in his Watford debut as well back in February, and he clears the ball forward up over the halfway line. Free header for Roberge again, but immediately possession returned to Scotland, and Aaron Hickey rolls it back to the goalkeeper. 0-0.
Well, you mentioned about obviously Gunn, big moment for him. He looks very comfortable on the ball with the ball at his feet, which is an important thing the way Scotland play. But also, I've not talked a lot about Hickey. Maybe I shouldn't talk much about him because I've got a man beside me who knows much more about that position. He's a right wing back, and he is always keen to go forward, and a very young player but an improving player.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about Aaron Hickey is he's two-footed. He can go either way, which is a brilliant attribute to have. I mean, I wish I had a part of that.
Scotland attack down the left hand side with Armstrong, and a challenge from Abdi Matas puts the ball out of play for a Scotland throw, taken immediately by Robertson. Back to Callum McGregor, who's earning his 50th cap for Scotland today. Returns it to Robertson, and he's challenged, and the ball goes out for another throw into Scotland. 10 yards from the corner flag. They attack down the left hand side. We haven't played 2 minutes yet. Scotland 0, Cyprus 0. Later on we've got commentary of Croatia against Wales in their qualifying group as Robertson sends in a cross that deflects out for a corner. First corner of the afternoon is Scotland's.
It's no surprise that Scotland go down that left side right at the start, getting a corner kick, overloading there. I mean, it's not just going to be Robertson, it's going to be there. There's plenty of players that go and try and get in that area, particularly Armstrong as well.
Robertson has placed the ball to take the corner kick, raises his right arm as a signal. Really good delivery in. Goalkeeper comes off his line and parries it away, but not clear. This is Tierney, tries to send it in with the outside of his left boot. He was inside the penalty area, but it looked like he was crossing there rather than shooting. It deflects off a defender anyway, and the ball goes out for a throw-in. Scotland's first dangerous attack is repelled by the Cypriots.
It's a shame there, because I thought Tierney had an opportunity to hit it with his right foot. Obviously he's always going to try and come in on that left, and then he tries to just flick it with the outside of his left foot to that back post. Doesn't quite get enough on it, but good opportunity, good pressure.
Unselfish from Kieran Tierney, who's not scored in a long time. His one international goal so far came this month last year, March 2022 against Poland, and he's every right to be a little bit rusty. Kieran Tierney, who hasn't started a game for club or country since January.
There's one more than me, and I had 50 caps.
Ball cleared away at the back by Valentin Roberge again, up over the halfway line. Aaron Hickey, who played in Italy for the last 2 seasons before joining Brentford in the Premier League, has committed a foul here. Free kick to Cyprus, midway inside the Scotland half.
Do you know there's 50,000 people in there? They're all making quite a lot of noise. I heard the scream from up here. I'm sure you did as well. Do you know what? I'll give him an excuse for that. He's wearing one of those face masks, isn't he? So he probably got a bit of a fright, even though it wasn't a hard knock.
He might have an underlying problem that just struck a nerve there. Nicholas Iannou, who plays his club football in Italy with Como. So attacking set piece. Cyprus will know this is where they might profit today. Delivery is played in, left-footed, header up into the air by Aaron Hickey. Doesn't quite come down for Gogic, and the referee blows the whistle anyway, and there'd been a push. And it's a free kick for Scotland. 4 minutes in, Scotland 0, Cyprus 0.
It's probably one of the things Scotland need to be wary of, is giving away cheap fouls round about the area, because it is a big threat for them moving forward. And Porteous, I really like him as a player, but he just needs to be careful with arms. Even though he didn't quite catch him real, it's still enough for a free kick. You have to be careful.
It's only a second cap for Ryan Porteous. Did very well on his debut in September against Ukraine in the Nations League. Steve Clarke at the time said his debut was outstanding, and he's in today.
I think he was man of the match in that game.
Yeah.
It was absolutely phenomenal.
He was.
Scotland have it in the midfield, and you mentioned earlier on, Pat, how Robertson and Tierney will sometimes change position, and that's what they've done at the moment. Robertson on the left side of the back three, and Tierney's gone up as the left wing back, something that presumably will continue as the afternoon goes on. Those two exchange passes between them at the moment. Left hand side for Scotland. 5 minutes played, 0-0 if you're just joining our coverage. Che Adams gets involved for the first time of the game, 10 yards outside the penalty area, over by the sideline on the left hand side. And Tierney comes in, lovely little exchange of passes, and Robertson to the byline is just beaten by the ball out of play. But the warm applause at Hampton will tell you the Scotland fans enjoyed the endeavour there. They like what the team are trying to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, that again, left-handed, it looks very, very comfortable there. The two try and get the ball out there all the time. It's a bit of a shame if you're playing the right, though. I think he's not got a lot of the ball so far, but going down that left-hand side, just have played a little bit long. There was enough space there to get the ball through. Could have been a decent chance for a cross.
How these qualifiers work, by the way, 20 teams earn their place at Germany just over a year from now through the groups. There's 10 groups. The top 2 from each group goes through to qualify, so that's that. Then another 3 teams get in through the playoffs. Scotland are already in the playoffs should they need it, and then the 24th team is of course the hosts themselves, Germany. It'll be the 17th edition of the Euros. Scotland want to be there. Armstrong gives it back to Tierney, comes over the halfway line with long strides. Armstrong's made a great run. Tierney tries to feed it in front of him, and again the pass just overcooked, and it runs through to Dimitrios Dimitriou, the Cyprus goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unlucky. Tierney driving forward, you know he's going to do that. He just overhits it there, really unlucky. It's something I was thinking as a ex-fullback, I would have loved to have played this sort of formation, because you can actually go 100%. You don't have to worry about what's behind you, because you know someone's going to fill in, and that's why I think they get so much joy out of it.
Good pass from Ryan Porteous, picks out Armstrong in the midfield. Scotland with possession, and their captain Andy Robertson. He's asking a lot of Che Adams here, a ball down the left channel which Alex Gogic gets to comfortably ahead of the Southampton striker and clears it back into the Scotland half. But so far, and it is still the very early stages, that is all Cyprus can do. They win at the back and they clear it away, and they just return possession to their host, and Cyprus is struggling to hold on and retain the ball in these early stages. Armstrong has it again, clips it back to the halfway line to Kieran Tierney, 36th cap for the former Celtic player today. Porteous will come over the halfway line and rolls it softly for Aaron Hickey, who's played 15 times for Brentford in the Premier League this season. Porteous now. Watford 5 points below the playoff positions in the Championship. He'll be hoping to come up to the Premier League next season. His flag is raised for offside, and a free kick to Cyprus away to our right hand side. The other game in this group today, Spain host Norway later on tonight. That's an evening kick-off. No Erling Haaland for Norway. Didn't play in their November games either, Erling Haaland. And Spain will be the visitors here on Tuesday when this group continues. Georgia, the other team in the group, play a friendly today against Mongolia before they start their campaign against Norway on Tuesday. Stretching for the ball is Gregorios Kastanos, but down he goes, no whistle from the referee. Scotland regained possession. Ryan Jack inside his own half.
It's beginning to become a regular thing with some of the Cypriot players. You know, again, I hear the scream from up here, but suddenly he's okay again, so they're trying to put a little bit of pressure on the referee there.
Tierney to Armstrong over the halfway line. Cyprus sitting deep, no real high press into the Scotland half. Grant Hanley, who's the second oldest player in this Scotland squad, gets a touch, and Feeds Tierney again on the left-hand side. Good injection of pace to make up 20-30 yards into Cypriot territory, and he plays the ball off Chambos Kyriakou, and it goes out for a Scotland throw once again.
I think that's very good from Scotland when somebody gets the ball from the back and drives forward, because when obviously the Cypriots are back in the formation, they're 5 at the back, 3 and 2, so it's hard to break down. They really need to move the ball quickly.
0-0 at Hampden. Chance for Armstrong to cross from the left-hand side. Good ball from McGinn across the 6-yard box, but there's no one there to get a touch at it. That's the most dangerous piece of attacking play we've had so far. Ryan Jack in possession, the Rangers midfielder. Good ball to the edge of the penalty area. Jack gets involved again, just outside the D. Looks up and sees Robertson in space on the left-hand side. Left-footed delivery into the area, too close to the keeper. And Dimitru diving down onto his knees makes the save. 10 minutes played in Hampden, and Scotland beginning to move through the gears.
Well, it's quite obvious that Scotland see there's a big... Apart from Scotland being very, very good down the left-hand side, they can see there's a weakness down there as well. Koussoulis, he's not found that position at all. He looks to me like a centre-back who probably enjoys playing more as a two. He's putting wide as a third one. He's just getting himself in the wrong position all the time, and Scotland finding space in behind him time and again, getting down that left-hand side, and it's now all about getting the quality of the cross in.
Yeah, I can imagine being a centre-back and being asked to go out and mark those two bombing outside you.
There is that.
Cypriot coach, by the way, familiar name, Timur Ketsbaya, former Newcastle and Wolves and Dundee player of the past. He was Dundee's player of the year in 2002. Armstrong almost getting onto a pass from Robertson, but it just ran in front of him. And Cyprus regained possession with Kyriakou, cleared up towards Pittas, and close to the sideline. He can't keep it in play. It goes out for a throw-in to Scotland. And Ketsbaya, who was appointed last summer, he's had 2 wins from his first 2 games in charge, and that's very good compared to what came before, because Cyprus, before his appointment, 3 wins in 27 games. They changed their coaches a lot. They've had 7 in the last decade, but Timur Ketsbaya hoping that he could bring a little bit of stability to the Cypriot setup. Grant Hanley has possession, deepest lying Scotland outfield player. He's got Ryan Porteous to his right hand side, and he rolls it back to Angus Gunn wearing all yellow away to our left. Craig Gordon injured. He's here today. He's doing some touchline punditry for television. Ryan Porteous goes long, way too long, and all the way through to Dimitris, the Cypriot keeper, away to our right hand side. 0-0.
You can obviously see what Scotland are trying to do in time. When the Cypriots are dropping right back, they're looking for that ball over the top with the likes of John McGinn or Armstrong trying to make a run, and he's normally, Porteous is really good at it, but doing that drops people that leave space just in between for the midfielder, so it looks like that's what they're trying to do at this moment in time.
Cyprus, whenever they've come up against Scotland in the past, they have always been beaten, but it should be pointed out the last 5 meetings between these two have been decided by a single goal in Scotland's favour. So Scotland haven't run away with any of those games, and Cyprus haven't been too far off the pace.
I played in one of them. I know how tight it was.
This is Alex Gogic, deepest lying of the Cypriot defenders. Nicholas Ioannou on the left-hand side has been relieved of possession by Aaron Hickey, and a chance for McGinn to play it into the penalty area, picking out Ryan Jack. Back again to Hickey. He's done really well to find a little bit of space inside the penalty area. Another chop turn, a shot on target, and Dimitri pushes it out for a corner. That's good play, good confident play from 20-year-old Aaron Hickey.
There's a big call between him and Patterson, but to be honest, he was really good in the ball. I mean, I remember the first time I actually seen him playing. He was 16 years of age, and he was playing at this ground in a cup final, and he looked brilliant then, and he really is going into a special player. He looks like a jinky winger down there, apart from a wing back.
It's only his 5th cap. Aaron Hickey looking to the manner born in international football. The latest Scotland corner from the right, played in by Robertson. Referee blew the whistle just before he took it. 2 players that collided, Porteous and Gogic, both hanging out of each other, really falling to the ground.
Hibs connection there, the two of them.
Indeed, yeah. There's much ado about nothing, and the corner can be retaken by Andy Robertson, the most capped player in this current Scotland squad. International appearance number 61 for him today. Robertson, who scored a rocket against Cyprus the last time these sides met here.
Do you know what? Scotland work very, very hard in corner kicks, all set pieces, but they really do get good chances generally in most games from corner kicks.
Most of the Scotland players are housed towards the back post from where this is going to come. Robertson sends it in, goalkeeper stays at his line. Che Adams jumped but couldn't get a touch. Chance of a counter-attack. Castanos is immediately tackled by Ryan Jack, and the referee gives the whistle, and Cypriot players are screaming for a yellow there. The referee already has the yellow card out. They were about to launch away on a counter-attack, Cyprus. Scotland having committed players forward, and it was Stuart Armstrong, not Ryan Jack. Stuart Armstrong sliding in, catching Castanos, and that is as blatant a yellow card as you'll see.
Yeah, that's what you call take one for the team, I think. I mean, they were breaking away from the corner kick, and they had men up front, so he had to do something. So as I said, he takes one for the team there.
He still had about 80 yards to go. There's a long way to go. He's actually just clipped him. He's not really caught him a really hard one, but I think the referee is right there. Breaking away, they had players to spare. It was a dangerous looking.
Now VAR looking at this to see could it be a potential red card. Again, I think we've sort of gone through this. There is no doubt he's trying to trip him up. He's not trying to hurt him. He's trying to stop the counter-attack. Yellow card shown immediately, but the Croatian video assistants led by Ivan Babic are just looking at this, but I'd be surprised if this gets upgraded.
Yeah, I think it's in case you're endangering the player. I mean, I don't think he's done that. He does go to ground and clip him. I don't think it's serious play, personally.
That would be the softest sending off I'd ever seen in my life if it was a sending off.
I would have been sent off about 25 times if that was the case.
Per game.
But only got there before me, Connor.
Quarter of an hour played, check complete, no red card. Stuart Armstrong the first to see yellow in this game. Scotland 0, Cyprus 0. On the start of a busy day on 5 Live, Croatia against Wales in their Euro 2024 qualifier coming up at 7:30 this evening. You can listen to Sports Extra. There's boxing commentary tonight on 5 Live from 10 o'clock as well. And tomorrow WSL commentary on 5 Live. Man City against Chelsea, that's from 12:40. England back in action tomorrow against Ukraine. You can listen from 5 o'clock here on 5 Live. And reaction to it all on the Football Daily podcast available from BBC Sounds tomorrow morning with all the reaction and indeed the build-up preview stuff as well. Here is Grigoris Castanos for Cyprus, midway inside the Scotland half, plays a decent ball down towards the corner flag on the right hand side, but Artimatas can't get onto it, and Scotland are able to clear away. A header from Callum McGregor gives possession away on the edge of his own penalty area. That was a little bit careless, and a chance for a shot comes in from Castanos. It's on target but no power, and Angus Gunn makes his first save in senior international football.
Do you know, it's an easy one, it's straight arm, but there's something about his body language. It shows real confidence, real belief in everything he's done so far. I'm not speaking too soon and get a mistake later on, but at the moment, you know, having to replace Craig Gordon, that's a big call.
Here comes Scotland trying to launch a counter-attack down the other end. Valentin Roberge gets there first and puts the ball out of play, puts it off Ryan Jack and out for a throw-in to Cyprus. Roberge, who made 10 appearances in the Premier League during his time at Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. 13 to 2016 were the years that he was a Sunderland player. And plays his club football back in Limassol now in Cyprus. As Kieran Tierney picks up possession for Scotland. Deepest lying Scottish outfield player. He's got Porteous alongside him and Grant Hanley back there too. Hanley, the former Blackburn and Newcastle player, now with Norwich. Norwich currently 3 points below the playoff positions of the Championship. Here is Hickey, who looks so composed even when tackles are flying in around him. He just manages to find that bit of space and plays a good ball back to Hanley. Warm applause around Hampden. 17 and a half minutes play. 0-0, 5 Live from the BBC.
I think that's what Aaron Hickey gives you. Say we're talking about both foot. He's quite comfortable coming in the pitch and making things happen, playing his 1-2s. You've seen we shot earlier on in the game. He's very, very comfortable. Where a normal like Patterson at right back or myself, you're only kind of looking down the line or to hit the striker.
Porteous picks out Hickey up in a wing position. Right hand side, challenged well by Valentin Roberge, but Scotland hold on to it. McGinn tries to feed it into the penalty area. Andy Robertson had made a good run on the left wing, but McGinn's crossfield ball is intercepted. Tierney wins it back for Scotland inside the centre circle. It's been a good performance so far from Steve Clarke's team, but yet to really threaten Demetrius Demetriou in the Cypriot goal away to our right hand side as the ball goes out of play for a throw in, and Che Adams recovers the ball and takes it quickly, throws into the penalty area. McGinn's first touch is weak, and it's cleared away by Cyprus up towards the halfway line. Once again they struggle to hold on to it. Callum McGregor on his 50th cap for his country. Confidently takes on the fullback on the right hand side, pushes the ball forward, and the assistant has spotted a foul there. Foul has been awarded against Nicholas Ioannou, and a free kick to Cyprus just outside their own penalty area, 0-0.
They are breaking up the game well, Cyprus. You know, they're going down really quite easily, but sometimes it is a foul, sometimes it isn't a foul. Breaks up the game. Scotland aren't doing that. They want it to be played at a high pace as much as they possibly can. If there's one disappointment I think Steve Clarke might have just now, maybe try to force it a little bit. There's been a few balls played, you know, that really aren't on. You know, just don't panic just now. Give it time. When Scotland are playing at their best, they accept it. Look, we've got plenty of the ball. Eventually it'll come. The spaces will develop.
Scotland with about 70% possession so far, as they would have expected to have against their lower ranked opponents. Loose ball falls for Che Adams here on the edge of the penalty area, and he feeds it to McGinn. Onto Armstrong on the left hand side. The cross comes in too high for Ryan Jack, who can't jump, and Ioannou clears the ball away somewhat cumbersomely, and Scotland regain possession once again. Down goes Ryan Jack, but no free kick. No whistle from the referee as Castanos comes away with possession. And Scotland immediately win it back. So 20 minutes played on the button. Scotland 0, Cyprus 0 here at Hampden. Let's get an update from Super League. Let's go to Headingley and Richardstead.
Leeds Rhinos have scored the first try of the second half, and they needed it. It's 22-12 to the Catalans Dragons. A great break by Austin. Caesar Tamara, unconverted. They're in it though.
And John McGinn opens the scoring at Hampden. 20 minutes play. The top scorer in this current Scotland squad does it again. The attack down the left-hand side, the well-delivered cross, and nobody marking it. That is as routine and calm a finish as you will see in international football. His 16th international goal, scored against Turkey in November in a friendly, and he has done it again here. That left-hand side attacking route, which we've mentioned from kick-off, delivers the goods for Scotland. Robertson's delivery in, McGinn's finish. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0.
Do you know what? As you say, it's exactly what it's. They're going to have to look at it. The referee stopped the play just now. I couldn't see anything wrong with it. So, you know, the referee's going to have a look at it as a possible offside.
I must admit, I didn't see the offside.
I didn't see any problems with it at all.
Robbo gets down the left-hand side, and Gogic gets across, and it takes a nick off his leg up and over, and then McGinn just follows into the back post the way he should. Right foot, puts it in the back of the net.
Well, the screens have gone red. There's a big VAR emblem. Now, normally red is the colour to say that, you know, they're taking action. I don't think that's the case. That's just the colour that the people operating the big scoreboards have taken here. It is still a check in progress, but John McGinn hoping that this opening goal stands and that Scotland are up and running in their Euro 2024 qualifying campaign. The cross from Robertson takes a deflection off Gogic, but at the moment it leaves his foot. Could there be an offside?
I'm just looking at, we've just seen one replay. It looks like maybe the pass to Andy Robertson out on the left-hand side. He might slightly be off, but there you go.
The goal stands. The roar will tell you it was tight. However, Scotland get the advantage. They get the decision in their favour. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. And that will calm a few nerves now, and Scotland can enjoy themselves a little bit more. It was that supply line which you mentioned so much. The overriding dominance of Tierney and Robertson down the left-hand side, and McGinn, who's developing a very handy knack of being in the right place at the right time for his national team.
Oh, he's a main scorer. There's no doubt about it. He is a main scorer. Loves playing that possession. He's got the freedom to go forward. And I'd love to say we were really, really clever by saying it would come from those two on the left-hand side. To be fair, if you watch Scotland often enough and the quality they've got, you knew they were always going to get there. Well, they've got the start we wanted. It's a quarter of the game gone, just more than that. Now is the time to calm it down and don't do anything silly in the next 5 minutes.
This very day, 2 years ago, 25th of March 2021, John McGinn scored a spectacular bicycle kick against Austria. And this was a different level of the spectrum. This was a very close-range tap-in with his instep. But they all count, and this goal feels valuable as Steve Clarke looks to build momentum. We're getting to see replays again of the offside. It was
so tight. But obviously, it's a great finish, back post, and it's amazing to see how I was at Aston Villa when he came down there from Hibs, and he's come on leaps and bounds. He's taken everything on his shoulders, and I love watching him play with Scotland. He's got that little bit of energy, extra energy that he gives all the time here with the goals.
And the goal came midway through this first half. It was the 21st minute, and John McGinn gave Scotland the lead.
It's just lovely when a plan comes together, isn't it? This came together so perfectly for Scotland. What you'd want to do, the question beforehand, do you play both, the left full-back stroke wing-backs? Yeah, you do that. And Armstrong over there, part of that move. He's been superb when he's gone over there and linked up with those two.
I thought it was an interesting comment in the press conference from Steve Clarke when he was asked about how he's getting used to doing the job, and he's obviously got this contract extension, and he said one of the big frustrations when he started with the national team was that you get such a small amount of time with the players and you don't get to work with them on the training ground. But the line that I thought was interesting was, he said he hasn't become a better coach during his time, but he's become a better manager, and he does seem to have a very good relationship with these players. Scotland come in the attack down the left again. Tierney level to the edge of the penalty area. Armstrong outside him. Cross comes in dangerously, but just behind McGinn, and it flashes in front of Hickey, and it goes out for a throw into Scotland.
What you were obviously saying about the manager, he was in Aston Villa for a short period of time, and the boys loved him. They loved his training, they loved his methods, and everybody bought into it. And that's what it seems to me. Everybody's pulling in the one direction. They want to meet up with Scotland. They're having a good time when they're here, and I think that's what brings everything together.
Throw in for Scotland on the right hand side, leading Cyprus by a goal to nil. 25 minutes played on 5 Live for the BBC, and the ball is clipped in to the penalty area by Hickey, but he thought he saw one of his teammates. There was none, and it bounces harmlessly through to Demetrius Demetriou. Cyprus goalkeeper wearing all green, away to our right hand side, beaten once already today. Yanis Koussoulos clears it away, right footed up to the halfway line. Kyriakou tries to control it, taken down onto the deck by Arti Matas, the captain who's been involved in the national side for over a decade now. Roberge goes long. That's not a bad ball at all. Little tester for Tierney, running back into his penalty area. The flag was raised and Cyprus were offside, but Tierney wasn't to know that, and he headed it away.
That's the joy of Kieran. He's as good a left centre back as he is a left wing back, as he is a left full back. And also, a lot of teams do this with their full backs. They walk into the middle of the field sometimes. He's really good at that as well. But that was just classic old skilled defending, understanding where the danger was and seeing it.
Roberge strong in the challenge against McGinn there, and Castanos brings it forward for Cyprus. Good challenge by Grant Hanley. Scotland don't comfortably regain possession, however, and Arti Matas goes from a mile out. I tell you, it wasn't a bad effort at all. Angus Gunn was only 4 yards off his goal line, and it nearly spun into the top corner. That would have been spectacular.
Yeah, it would have been absolute spectacular. I think it's one of those shots to nothing. There's nothing much else on, and he has a smash at it. Gun scrambling back into, but thankfully straight past the post.
It made it look a lot better than it was. The fact that Angus Gunn
from here as well, this angle.
Yeah, from behind. Actually, it was about 10 yards over the bar.
Had that got in, it was a circus act of a goal. That would have been ridiculous from about 35 yards out.
In a moment, I remember there was another goal not dissimilar to that scored against Scotland a little while ago.
Oh yes, at the Euros, yeah. As that dark memory comes in to dampen the mood.
Yeah, let's not talk about
it. It's a positive scene, Pat Nevin.
That's not like you.
Tierney gives it short to Ryan Jack in the midfield. Scotland 1-0 up against Cyprus. Tierney gets it back again, 20 yards inside Cyprus territory. Armstrong's made a good run, gets in around the defender. Tierney involved for the third time in the move into the penalty area now. Clips in the cross, looking for McGinn. Just about headed away by Roberge. Cyprus once again struggling to stem the tide as Scotland repeatedly attack down their left. Armstrong over there, Tierney over there, Robertson over there. They're overloading time and time again. This time it's Tierney, back to Robertson, into Armstrong. Neat triangular passing between the three of them. All three get a touch again here. Cyprus can't get the ball at the moment. Robertson to Armstrong, back to Robertson, takes a deflection which guides it over the penalty area, but That is a big problem for Cyprus as Scotland are attacking down the left.
Destroying Cyprus down that far side there. And it's not been helped by the fact that they've got Kyriakou, who's over there. He's not following his man. So when Tierney runs past him or Robertson run past him, he just watches. It's extraordinary to see it. It's such an unusual thing to see. If you do that and you keep on doing that against those players, you're going to lose more chances.
They're such powerful runners. I mean, see when you sit here and you watch Kieran Tierney or Robbo, I mean, it's just run after run after run for any defender. You're sitting there thinking, give me a break, go the other side.
But at least try and stay. He just chucked it there.
It was Patrick Schick who scored that goal from the halfway line for the Czech Republic against Scotland at the Euros. But it's Scotland who lead here. Half an hour played at Hampden. And early pressure from Steve Clarke's team has been rewarded by that John McGinn goal. He's 16th for his country. And Cyprus have not, apart from one outlandish effort from range, have not given much evidence to suggest that they've got much of a way back into this. But can Scotland build on their lead ahead of the break? McGinn with a cushioned header infield. Picks out Armstrong. Lovely touches to weave away from three defenders. Artie Mattis battles back and brings Stuart Armstrong to a halt. Scotland win it back again. Good work from McGregor. Now Ryan Jack outside of the right boot looking for McGinn. Roberge lunges in ahead of him, but Cyprus can't hold on to it, and Grant Hanley rolls it back to Angus Gunn.
They've not got any real foothold in the game in Scotland's last third of the pitch. They've that one long range shot, but they don't seem to be able to hold the ball. But that is the separate way to play. They want to play in the break, and they know they'll get one or two chances. And as Alan was saying earlier on, free kicks from somewhere quite close to the box and the odd corner kick, they'll try and get some capital out of that. But apart from that, Scotland are absolutely dominating this game.
This is Callum McGregor inside the centre circle. Tierney on his left shoulder onto Armstrong. These are effortless passes, no pressure on them. Robertson now midway inside the Cyprus half, but he was in an offside position as the ball was played to him. The flag goes up and that's offside. John McGinn. So with this goal, he's now been involved between goals and assists. 22 goals for Scotland since Steve Clarke took charge. That is 12 goals more than any other Scotland player in that period.
It's some going. I mean, it just shows you how he's developed as a player. I mean, I think his best position is more forward the pitch than trying to be that holder and using all his energy to try and close people down. Actually making runs in behind. He understands which area of the pitch to be in.
And by the way, this is good. Well done, ref.
Free kick has been awarded and a yellow card has been shown to Grigoris Kastanis, and the referee points to another part of the pitch and now to this one, and he says cumulative. You've been going down too easy. You were trying to deceive the officials. Yellow card for diving.
That's a shocker. I mean, that's a 10 out of 10 for diving.
Yeah. There's two guys at the side there going 6.1, 5.9. 6.1's quite good out of 6.
Kastanis, who's actually a Juventus player, they're his parent club, but he's been on their books for 6 seasons. He's only ever played once for the Juve first team. He's always been out on loan. He's with Salernitana at the moment in Serie A, but he's had 6 different loan moves away, and the diving club could be the next loan move on that particular evidence. As Tierney comes forward for Scotland, his pass is cut out, but McGregor wins it back once again. And Scotland really haven't had to get out of third gear in this game. It's been very comfortable for Steve Clarke's side. Armstrong gives it back to Ryan Jack. 32 minutes played. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. Now, the last time we went for an update to Super League, there was a goal, so maybe it'll work again. Leeds Rhinos against Catalans Dragons. Richard Stead.
Well, we've had 2 tries since you were last with us. Jared O'Connor diving over from dummy half, no one home at marker, and Darrell Alfort's a length of the field effort from Leeds. It's been all the Rhinos. Reece Martin, though, has missed all 5 of his conversion attempts, otherwise they'd lead. As it is, 18 minutes to go. Dragons lead by 22 points to 20.
Thanks very much, Richard. You can listen to live commentary of the Women's Six Nations over on Sports Extra. Wales are taking on Ireland. Later on, 4:45, England against Scotland. Claire Thomas, Andy Nicholl and Kat Merchant will be with you for that. Oh, Angus Gunn has slipped on the edge of his penalty area and he gets away with it. But just for a moment on his debut, little heart in mouth for Angus Gunn. Yanis Pittas running in at him. Now, it's edge of the area, but at the side. He tries to put the brakes on as he slides to the edge of the area. I don't know if he's got the wrong studs, but the feet give away underneath him, and he's fortunate as he lands down on the ball and is able to recover.
That could have been quite horrendous.
Ooh.
And the thing is, it's not a mistake. You don't expect their ground to give away the way it did there. And just about a minute before, the cameras went on a close-up in his dad, who probably has got his heart rate a wee bit higher now.
I would imagine if you're a parent in that situation, you're just thinking, don't have something like that happen. You know, fair enough if you're beaten by a Patrick Schick wonder goal, but don't have some stupid slip that everyone's going to remember. And Angus Scott will be pleased to have gotten away with that.
Yeah, but I even think about that when I'm watching my 14-year-old son playing football. Just please don't. So, can you imagine the nerves when you're sitting watching your son or your daughter playing at this level?
Yes, it'll be a proud day for Brian Gunn watching on. Scotland coming the attack again. Che Adams, good run. McGinn's nearly in again. Goalkeeper Dimitri comes out. McGinn collides with him, and the referee gives the free kick in Cyprus's favour. I think it was there to be challenged for, but as we know, goalkeepers are always a protected species in any collision at all. But again, and you mentioned it, you know, McGinn making these runs, getting into the penalty area, and Dimitri got there just ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a ball that has to go to. It's a 50-50. Probably as it worked out, the goalkeeper just got there quickly, but the ball flicks on off Gogic's head, and it's in that area where it's a bit uncertainty. Everybody's going to go for it, and the goalkeeper came off worse, but John McGinn has to go for that there.
Yeah, and I don't think the goalkeeper got much on the ball, did he? You know, so it was, you're absolutely right. He wasn't looking completely confident about it when he went for it. I mean, McGinn's he's finding so much space. I mean, we know he's very good at attacking from a deeper area, and it's very, very hard to mark a player coming from that area if he's running and he's got to run on you. But at that moment in time, you're right, he has to go for it.
It's his energy levels as well. I mean, he can go 90 odd and again if he really needs to. I mean, he's got energy levels through the roof, and he gives everything for Aston Villa and the nation, and you can see it.
Well, you're talking about Aston Villa before. I'd been watching him at Hibs, being a team that I had a season ticket for at the time, and wait a moment.
Here's another chance for Scotland. Armstrong beaten by the bounce on the edge of the penalty area. He was almost like a performing seal there, hoping the ball would just land on his nose and he could nudge it into his path, but it just eluded him, and Cyprus breathed a sigh of relief. It's still 1-0. 10 minutes to go to the break.
Referee's looking at something. I wonder what he's looking at.
Referee just delaying the restart to play with the throw-in. VAR having a look to see, maybe there might have been a handball on the edge of the area.
Yeah, couldn't see anything.
It looked like a little bit of heady tennis to me.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not been deliberated for long. No further action being taken by the officials. Throw in for Scotland. Hickey has received it back again. Porteous returns it to the Brentford man. Neat triangular passing with Ryan Jack. He's done well there, turned into trouble, but managed to squeeze a pass away. Here's Tierney, 20 yards outside the penalty area, the Scotland attack. He's got Robertson outside him on the left. Again, combining with Stuart Armstrong, and a clever idea from Armstrong. He wanted to play it in front of Robertson. Robertson hadn't quite anticipated it. Cyprus have made a mess of the clearance. Armstrong gets another chance to deliver, and it deflects away off Kousoulos and out for a corner to the home side. Scotland thoroughly dominating as we approach half-time at Hampden.
It really is a moment. If you don't often get it in international football where you think, I can fill my boots here, I can get as much of the ball as I want, I can get lots of space, I've got players around me that can make space for me. It does look very special, but as we keep on saying, most of it's that left hand side.
1-0 can be a dangerous lead, of course, in international football. Here comes the latest Robertson corner. Header on the edge of the penalty area by Arti Matas has cleared it outside the box. Chance for Yanis Pittas to try and bring it over the halfway line. He's challenged fairly. It's a lonely old job leading the attack for Cyprus today. Pittas has barely had scraps to feed off. Here comes Robertson, who must have seen more of the ball than anyone else in the game so far. Tries to take on Kousoulos, puts the ball one side of him. The defender's done well. Cyprus hold on to possession, but can they keep it now in the midfield? Pittas turns with Grant Hanley in behind him, and that is a foul, and a free kick to Cyprus just inside their own half.
Yeah, it's a foul. He drags him back, but it's probably the only thing sitting here watching it you could say is probably that final third. Just that last pass is maybe just letting them down ever so slightly, but they've looked really comfortable.
I would say one tiny danger area I can see for Scotland. At Scotland's own corner kicks, we've almost been caught twice now. So maybe a wee bit of caution now when we get a corner kick. Make sure there's enough pace at the back, because they like to break the Cypriots.
I went as a fan to watch Ireland on Wednesday at home to Latvia. Ireland went 2-0 up. We thought exactly what the Scotland mood is here. This is fill your boots time, enjoy this. And it came back for 2-2, and in the end Ireland squeezed the 3-2 win, so you never quite know. But here is Marty Matas midway inside the Cypriot half. Scotland leading Cyprus by 1-0. The goal scored by John McGinn midway through this first period. Wales leading Ireland 12-0 on the opening day of the Women's Six Nations. Alex Callender and Ciara Bevan with the early tries for the Welsh there. And Cyprus holding on to possession, which is something they've not done much in the game. They've put 6 or 7 passes together now. Roberge on the edge of his own penalty area. Plays it out to the right-hand side to Kousoulis. And with 6 minutes to go to the break, let's go back to Headingley and the Super League and Richard Stead.
Leeds lead for the first time since the 22nd minute. 4 second half tries have made sure of that. The latest coming for Tom Holroyd, again set up by Blake Austin, who's having quite the afternoon. Leeds have also changed their goal kicker, and Aidan Caesar has added the extras. The Rhinos 26, Catalan Dragons 22. 12 minutes to the hooter.
Thanks, Richard. Hull FC play Lee Leopards later on at 3 o'clock. That'll be getting underway in about 20 minutes from now. Here at Hampden, the opening group game for Scotland in a journey they hope will lead them to the Euro 2024 finals just over a year's time. Started well. John McGinn's goal has Steve Clarke's team in front. Ryan Porteous here rolls it back to Angus Gunn. Right-footed clearance, high, swirling, comes down on the halfway line. Header won by Nicholas Ioannou, who began his career in the academy at Manchester United. He then went on to the Nottingham Forest Youth Academy. Forest have obviously got strong Cypriot connections. There's a lot of these Cyprus players who've been in the Nottingham Forest Academy at early stages of their career. As Armstrong attacks with strong running down the left-hand side for Scotland. Rolls it back to Andy Robertson. Good anticipation by Kyriakou to win it here for Cyprus. But just as they tried to counter, McGregor closes things down, and it's back into comfortable Scottish possession once more.
I'd say it's the best 2 or 3 minutes that Cyprus have had in the game. They've still not really get out of their half, but they've put a few passes together. They've tried to close down a little bit. I think they just take little moments and they try and push it a little bit. But each time they push forward, Scotland have gaps to run into, and just for pure pace in the wide area, Scotland seem to have plenty to spare.
Yeah, it's just little bursts, isn't it? They're sitting back and then trying to hit in the counter. But what you need to remember, this pitch is massive, and they're going to tire. It's hard defending for this length of time, and as you rightly say, gaps are going to appear.
5 live from the BBC. You can listen on BBC Sounds or the BBC Sport website as well. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. John McGinn, the goal scorer, in possession, and his feet just gave away underneath him a little bit there as he tried to accelerate on the turf. McGinn rides that storm, veers in field, touches it back to Tierney in the centre circle, and almost instinctively Tierney immediately delivers out to the left and to Andy Robertson, and those two, nice telepathy between them in this game so far. They almost don't need to look at where each other are. Gokic tries to lunge in and make an interception, but he lunged too quickly, and Roberge has to sweep across and clear the ball out of play for a Scotland throw.
Gokic went right through the ref there. I think that's a yellow card, surely.
I thought it was a good touch for the referee.
Due Strukan, the official in charge, and as Gokic came, he's trying to get out of the way, but he ran into the defender's path, and Gokic clattered into the back of it. Oh, the ref's got shin pads on. Here's McGinn into the penalty area again, pulls it back for Adams, shot on target, save. Touched over the crossbar for a corner. That was unselfish from John McGinn, looking to set up Che Adams, and it was on target, but just over the goalkeeper's head and comfortably saved in the end.
It's a lovely 1-2 round the corner. Joe McGinn just sees the move. Shea Adams gets it back and has a crack at goal. Goalkeeper does well just to parry over, but really good move. When they move the ball quickly, that's when things open up.
I don't think the Cypriots are quick enough. They move the ball one touch, as you say, the little ball round the corner, but John McGinn could have had a shot there.
Corner to Scotland. 2 minutes to go of normal time in the first half. There's a push surely at Kieran Tierney inside the penalty area as the corner came in. VAR will watch that. Play continues for the moment. Robertson on the right wing after taking the corner tries to get to the byline. Challenged by Ioannou wearing the protective face mask. Robertson, it's skewed off his boot. That's not what he meant to do. He sent it behind Callum McGregor, who sprints back into his own half but salvages the situation, and Scotland will come again. In the background, VAR will be looking to see if there was any push, and Kieran Tierney there as the ball came in for the corner. Play continuing with Armstrong midway inside the Cyprus half, left hand side of the field. Gives it out to Robertson, back to the halfway line to Grant Hanley. Tierney, who's now taken up the more attacking position, has turned the wing back brilliantly there. Kieran Tierney, low ball in. Robertson tries to shoot on the edge of the penalty area. Good defending. Body thrown in the way to block it by Valentin Robert. Scotland tried to attack again. Steve Clarke would love to make it 2-0 before half time.
Do you know, mentioned earlier on about the players, the wing backs going a little bit more central. Did it there brilliantly. Gets the ball on the left hand side. Robertson plays it into the centre. Who is it? It's there. It's the left centre back. It's right on the D there. They're unstoppable. They're getting massive amounts of space. Actually, the biggest concern Scotland's got so far is people tripping over or slipping.
Yes.
There's a lot of that happening out there.
I wonder if some of the footwear might be adjusted over half time, because we've seen the evidence of the turf just giving. I mean, it looks lovely, but clearly it's giving away under the feet of it seems to be the Scotland players in particular. Here's Ryan Porteous, runs 20 yards into the opponent's half, picks out Che Adams 10 yards outside the penalty area. McGregor tried to dink one in front of Aaron Hickey, who'd made a very clever run. That was repelled by a defender. Hickey might get another chance here. Gogic tries to hold him up. Hickey's got to run out of the penalty area, but he does hold on to possession for Scotland. Scotland leading by a goal to nil at Hampden. We're about to move into stoppages at the end of the first half. This is 5 Live from the BBC. The opening day of Group A of qualifying for Euro 2024. Tierney picks up possession midway inside the Cypriot half, wide in the left hand side. There'll be 2 minutes added on for the stoppages. Armstrong of Southampton, who's had a difficult season at club level as they battle against relegation in the Premier League. Tierney, lovely ball outside of the left boot, picks out Che Adams in the penalty area. Down he goes. Gogic with the challenge. Ball goes out. Referee signals for a corner, but the VAR will have a look at this too.
Yeah, it's interesting. My initial thought was it wasn't, but we've obviously not seen the replay. It goes out for a corner. Gogic gets a cross, but it'll be interesting to see again.
I think he's taking the player, but did he get the ball first? And he probably did.
Yes, we've just seen the replay confirming that. It's a stretch, but he connects with the ball and then collides with Che Adams, and that will work well in his favour. Lovely pass, by the way, from Tierney into him.
Yeah, I mean, he tried it earlier on, didn't he, with outside his foot. This one connects with Che Adams. Really unlucky, but Gogic gets the ball. Corner kick. Che
Adams, who scored against Armenia last summer. He's one of the players waiting inside the penalty area, but the referee is delaying the taking of this corner kick, while the video assistant referee looks at the replays of the boos, and the groans in the background will tell you that they've decided no penalty. So 1 minute of the 2 have already expired. Might be a little bit added on for that decision. Corner to Scotland, 1-0 in front. Andy Robertson's delivery, an outswinger from the far side. He's headed away with good distance by Yanis Koussoulis. But once again, Cyprus can't hold on to the ball in the central area, and it's launched back towards the Cyprus penalty area by Hickey, trying to pick out Porteous, and headed out for a throw-in. Scotland remain on the attack down the right-hand side. Steve Clarke will be pleased. I guess the only complaint he'll have is that Scotland haven't added to the 1 goal.
That is the one complaint, and they've made decent enough chances, but you know, international football is not easy. It's been a packed defence a lot of the time, but they have to come out at some point.
Most famous win in Cyprus football history was 1998. They beat Spain, and fathers of 3 of the current squad played in that win in the late 90s. They've never qualified for a major tournament, Cyprus. They are hoping for a positive beginning to this qualifying campaign, but finding it very tough going against a well-drilled, well-organised Scotland team. Doesn't appear to be any square pegs and round holes down there for Steve Clarke as the whistle goes for the break. So once again, it's the John McGinn show. His 16th international goal. He took it well. He's nearly been on the end of a few other chances as well. Scotland will hope to build on their lead in the second period, but for now it is 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, I think the manager will be very happy. They've moved the ball about well. It's a good goal. What we're asking these players now is, can you go and put your foot down? Can you go and get 2? Can you go and get 3? It's just been that final third, the last pass, that's maybe just let them down ever so slightly. But as Pat said earlier, just be careful on the break.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very happy with it. You know, controlling of the game. But you got to expect the Cypriots will do something slightly different. They might go to a back 4, might change it. nothing is ever certain. We've said it before, Connor. 1-0 is a dangerous scoreline, so we're not writing off yet.
Long way to go. But as things stand, Scotland top of Group A in qualifying for the Euros. 45 minutes to go here. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0.
It is a dangerous scoreline, 1-0, but Roddy Forsyth, who's been watching alongside our commentary team, I wouldn't have thought Steve Clarke will have too many complaints going in at half-time.
No, although I do notice he was a little concerned, I think, about the pitch. Now, we saw in the League Cup semi-finals and the final that there was criticism of the pitch. That was to do with the timing of those games, but the pitch cut up pretty badly, and we saw that happening a couple of times, once which could have been quite calamitous for Scotland, and that's when Gunn slid on the edge of his box. He left a little score there, as you can see, on the edge of the box, but he was lucky and the ball sat for him, enabling him to grasp it. But we also saw John McGinn slipping and Robertson skidding at one point, and that'll be a concern. So, as I think it was Alan suggesting, there might be a change of footwear in the second half. There certainly is something that was concerning Steve Clarke. The other thing that struck me, I was waiting for Cyprus to put Angus Gunn under pressure, and they didn't do it once from on their only set piece that they had. They played the ball to the back of the box when I was fully expecting them to try and drop it on top of the goalkeeper and just see what his understanding was like with his centre backs, but that hasn't happened. So 2 or 3 areas where Scotland have enjoyed fortune that we don't always get.
Roddy, Pat, Alan, Connor, thank you very much for now. We'll be back at Hampden Park for the second half with Scotland leading by a 1-0. That goal from John McGinn, as Connor said, his 16th international goal, which puts him just 2 behind Kenny Miller and 3 behind Ali McCoist. Sport taking place across the country today. We're keeping you across as much as we possibly can. So up next for us, it's Headingley, it's the Super League, and it's Richardstead.
Quite the turnaround in the second half. 26 unanswered points for the Leeds Rhinos means they may well inflict Catalans Dragons' first defeat of the season. 2 minutes to go. The latest try, the 7th try, scored by Harry Newman after a 70-metre run from Leeds Rhinos fullback Richie Myler. We're in the final 2 minutes. Leeds lead by 10. It's 32-22.
Sounds like a cracking atmosphere at Headingley. Richard, thank you very much. Now, still to come on 5 Live Sport, commentary of England against Scotland in the Women's Six Nations. That's 4:45 kickoff. And the latest score in Cardiff at Cardiff Arms Park is Wales 19, Ireland 0. That's after half an hour, and you can watch that on the iPlayer right now. OK, so in a few minutes' time, we'll be going around our featured games in the EFL. But with the time now 2:52, let's get the news here on 5 Live with Carl Hartley.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The UK's shortest-serving Prime Minister, Liz Truss, is being criticised for submitting a list of nominations for peerages. It's been reported she's put forward 4 people. Former aides have told the BBC she shouldn't be nominating anybody, given she only spent 49 days in office. More than 3,000 bus drivers in the West Midlands have called off their strike after winning a pay rise of more than 16%. Members of the Unite union, employed by National Express, had launched an indefinite walkout on Monday. At least 23 people have died after a tornado tore through the US state of Mississippi. More people are thought to be trapped under rubble. The mayor of Rolling Fork says his town has been devastated. And the mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has been fined for speeding on the M62. The Labour politician was caught driving at 78 miles per hour on a section where the limit had been reduced to 40 miles per hour. He'll pay nearly £2,000 in fines, charges and costs, and he'll have 6 penalty points put on his licence.
This weekend, Six Music Festival heads to Greater Manchester with incredible live music from artists like Arlo Parks. To get you into the spirit, check out the Back-to-Back Sounds featuring Rave Forever, The Morning After Mix, and Indie Forever. Find the Six Music Festival Back-to-Back Sounds on the Music tab, only on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Gigi Salmon.
And welcome back to 5 Live Sport. This Saturday afternoon, we have a lot to get through before we return to Hampden Park, where Scotland are beating Cyprus by 1-0 as they start their qualification camp for Euro 2024. But it's full time at Headingley, and watching the rugby league for us is Richard Stead.
Yeah, there's a saying around these parts that you never write off the Rhinos. You could have done at half time though. Catalans Dragons, the unbeaten French side, were leading 22 points to 8. They've been nilled in the second half. A virtuoso performance from the Leeds side, including 7 tries, a brace for England international Harry Newman among them, and Leeds have come out victorious, their 3rd win of the season, 32 points to 22. Warrington Wolves now the only unbeaten side in the Super League competition.
Thank you, Richard. I think the fans will continue to enjoy themselves for some time to come. So a win for Leeds in the Super League. Right, let's go round our featured matches in the EFL. No championship today, so we start in League One. There are 6 matches. We are at 3 of them, and we begin at Peterborough, just outside the playoff places as it stands, but can close the gap to this afternoon's opponents, Derby, who are in 5th to just a single point. And at London Road for us, Aaron Paul.
Yeah, 4 points separate these two sides in the race to the playoffs, but the form book reads the other way round. Posh are on the charge. Derby, well, performances haven't been up to scratch. I spoke to the Rams boss Paul Warne an hour ago. I asked how he was. I got one word: stressed. Said with a smile that, I mean, who would be an EFL manager? Anyway, to the delight of the Derby fans, 16-goal striker David McGoldrick leads the line this afternoon. Peterborough could go to within a point of the top 6. Josh Knight comes in for them at what looks like a sold-out London Road.
There's a lot of stress out there at this stage of the season. Aaron, thank you very much. A similar story with Wickham. Now they're in 8th behind Peterborough on goal difference. Matt Bloomfield's side are at the Valley to take on Charlton. And watching for us, Nick Godwin.
Yes, Wickham's form's been quite patchy in the 6 games that Matt Bloomfield has had in charge so far. 7 points taken, which contrasts rather heavily with the 5-match winning streak that Gareth Ainsworth signed off with at Adams Park before switching to QPR. They are 4 points off the playoff spots. Victory today, with a game in hand over some of the teams above them, would put them very much back in the promotion picture heading into the busy Easter period. Charlton's last 4 wins have all come away from home. They're 16 points off the playoff spots and haven't won at the Valley since mid-January. Wickham really should sense an opportunity.
Nick, thank you very much. Now, the other end of the table, back-to-back wins have seen MK Dons move out of the relegation zone. We spoke to their manager, Mark Jackson, live on the show a little bit earlier. But defeat to third bottom Morecambe today could see them fall back into it. At Stadium MK for us, it is good afternoon to John Hunt.
Yes, a very good afternoon to you. There's some smiles around here, forced smiles, I reckon, because it's really nervous down the bottom of League One. As you say, Milton Keynes Dons have won their last 2 games to give them some respite. Their social media team have latched onto the saying, not Don yet. Simple but effective, I'm sure you'll agree. They're attempting a 3rd consecutive win this afternoon for the first time this season. Morecambe on the road have been terrible. They've only had 1 victory on their travels so far, but they know if they could get a somewhat surprising win here today, they would leapfrog above the Dons. Very nervy stuff. Kick-off minutes away.
John, thank you very much. Into League 2, where there are 10 matches today. The only postponement due to international call-ups was Crewe Alexandra against Bradford City. So there's no win in 3 for leaders Leyton Orient, and the gap at the top, that's down to just 6 points. They're at second bottom Hartlepool this afternoon, who could move out of the drop zone with a win, and there for us, Ellen Ellard.
Yeah, Hartlepool have drawn all their games under John Askey and will need to start converting those draws into wins if they're to ensure their survival in the Football League. That is easier said than done when you're up against an Orient side 8 unbeaten at the top of the table, experiencing, as you say, Gigi, just the slightest of bumps in the road. Just the one change for the league leaders. Tom James drops to the bench, Jordan Brown comes in, and Hartlepool are unchanged.
Thank you, Ellen. Second place Stevenage seem to be over their wobble with 7 points from the last 9 on offer. They take on promotion chasing Salford in front of Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, one of those brilliant games at this time of the season, Gigi. Both clubs with a lot to play for and every point being so important. Stevenage, they're chasing a return to League One for the first time in 10 seasons, while Salford are looking to make it into the 3rd tier for the first time in their history. Salford have the better record in the recent matchups between the two, winning 6 of the last 7, with this season's game decided in the 90th minute in favour of Salford. It should be another tight affair this afternoon.
Thank you, Sahil. Northampton only outside the automatic promotion places on goal difference. They put their 6-match unbeaten run on the line at Doncaster in front of Betty Glover.
Good afternoon. Yeah, that battle for the top 3 has started to really heat up, and today Northampton could jump to second if results go their way. Boss John Brady says his side are just enjoying it though and having fun. He actually repeated the word fun 4 times in the space of about 30 seconds when previewing this game, but that isn't necessarily translating in front of goal. You've got to go back to January to find a game where they've scored more than 1. They do though have the second best away record in League 2, taking 31 points from 18 games. That, by the way, is the same tally Doncaster have been able to achieve at home. They sit 12th, bang in the middle, in no danger of relegation, but it would also take a real effort to make a late playoff charge. They, Gigi, are after just their second win in 8 matches.
Thanks, Betty. Now, 7 points from their last 3 matches have majorly boosted Crawley's survival chances. They're at home to the EFL's bottom club, Rochdale, this afternoon. Now 7 points from safety. So the question, Paul Scott, is their time starting to run out?
Well, Gigi, Dale manager Jim Bentley says this match isn't all or nothing, but it is getting close. A defeat would leave them 10 points from safety, with 8 games still to play. Crawley have played 1 game fewer as well, so they could go some way to condemning Rochdale with a win this afternoon. In a blow for the visitors, both top scorer Devante Rodney and his strike partner Scott Quigley are both out injured. As for the hosts, creeping Crawley are up the table. 2 wins in their last 3 matches have given them a cushion in their own battle to avoid the drop, but defeat here and they are right back in trouble. Expect a tense afternoon. Crawley against Rochdale at the bottom of League 2.
Paul, thank you very much. Now, commentary of Manchester United against West Ham in the WSL. That's at 5:30 over on 5 Sports Extra. Today's other game is the North London derby. Tottenham won last time out in their first match since sacking Rhiannon Skinner, having lost 9 on the spin. And keeping an eye on this one for us is Chris Temple.
And that was a very important win indeed, which lifted Tottenham 5 points clear of the 1 WSL relegation place. Since then, interim head coach Vicky Jepson has had 10 days to instil her ideas. She includes Keris Harrop, who equals the WSL appearance record of 177 today. For Arsenal, this game is sandwiched between the 2 legs of their Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich. After losing 1-0 in Germany, a win today would lift Arsenal above Manchester City in the WSL and into the Champions League places. They give a debut to Canada international goalkeeper Sabrina De Angelo, and we're just underway here at Brisbane Road.
Thank you, Chris. From football to rugby, and the latest score in the Six Nations opener at Cardiff Arms Park is Wales 26, Ireland 0. It's live on Sports Extra and you can watch on the iPlayer and the BBC Sport website. Still to come here on 5 Live, commentary from Kingston Park as England host Scotland. That's at 4:45. I'm very happy to say that part of our team this afternoon, and joining me now, is England World Cup winner Kat Merchant. Kat, it's lovely to speak to you. Before we talk England, I have to mention that scoreline in Cardiff, so one-sided towards Wales. How much of a surprise is that for you?
That is pretty surprising. I know that Wales are going to come hard into this competition and they've got their prep really well and they're really focused, but that is some big score because Ireland have a good team out, so fair play to them. They've really come at it.
Now, I've used this word a lot in the build-up to this afternoon's England game, emotional, because it is, Kat, it's going to be emotional as Sarah Hunter's incredible career comes to an end.
I mean, the word legend gets thrown around far too much, I think, in sport, but she is one of the biggest legends that has ever been, I think, in the women's game. Well, actually, I know. So it's going to be hugely emotional here. She's going to have loads of support. I think even the Scotland fans are going to get behind her because she's just a credit to the game and how far it has come, and yeah, a wonderful human.
It's England's first time out since losing that dramatic World Cup final to New Zealand. How prepared do you believe them to be? Because there has been a fair bit of change since that final.
Yeah, a huge bit of change, but every single player out there is just going to want to get rid of that final because you don't want that being your last game, so they just have to keep moving forward. A lot of them are really excited for the Six Nations and really just want to get going, so I think they'll be prepped. They're a team that, you know, things get thrown at them and players through injuries, etc., but they've got such strength and depth. Actually, no matter who's in what shirt, I think, you know, they can put out a strong performance.
Kat, we appreciate your time. We're going to be back with Kat Merchant and the team after 4. Plenty more to come as we build up to kick-off England against Scotland from Kingston Park. That's 4:45. We'll keep you across absolutely everything. Once those EFL matches get underway, you're going to get updates. Keep an eye on the BBC Sport website. If you're going out, take us with you via BBC Sounds. But for now, it's back to our first commentary of the day. It's Hampden Park. It's Scotland leading Cyprus by a 1-0. And there for us, I believe, Pat Nevin and Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Gigi. It's John McGinn's goal that separates the teams at full house at Hampden, and a very jovial atmosphere here over half-time, as you can imagine. The singing of Boogie Boogie, and hopefully this party will continue all the way till the summer of 2024 in Germany and into the next European Championships. Change for Cyprus over half-time, and they have taken off one of their central defenders, Yanis Kousoulis, player who scored here at Hampden against Scotland in the past, and he's been replaced by a midfielder, Danilo Spoljaric. So midfielder on for a defender. Are Cyprus going to try and up the ante? Certainly they were treading water for much of that first half, and Scotland might well have had more than their solitary goal to show for their endeavours. No changes for Scotland, Pat Nevin.
Well, you wouldn't expect it, the fact that they're playing so well, but they took off Kousoulis, and I'm going to be kind and say he had a difficult 45 minutes.
Well, Scotland will play from right to left as we look down. It means we're going to get a very close-up view of Tierney and Robertson and Armstrong, and they've been combining so well in this game so far. Doncaster Rovers against Northampton. Here's Betty Glover.
It's Doncaster 0, Northampton 1. Mitch Pinnock with the goal, striking it from just outside the box, and it went right through the keeper's legs. Bit of a keeper error, and chant of sack the board already from the Doncaster fans. It's Doncaster 0, Northampton 1.
Thanks very much, Betty. We'll be back to the Lamech Stadium as the afternoon progresses, and any developments there. Free kick to Cyprus, awarded midway inside their own half. Scotland lining up with debutant Angus Gunn in goal. Central defenders Ryan Porteous, Grant Hanley and Kieran Tierney. Wingbacks Aaron Hickey on the right, Andy Robertson on the left. Ryan Jack, Callum McGregor in the middle of the midfield. McGinn and Armstrong pushing forward. Che Adams, who's been the striker, and given the fact that Scotland have been so dominant in the game so far, Adams actually hasn't seen that much of the ball. 1-0 to Scotland here. Let's go to Brisbane Road. A goal. Tottenham women against Arsenal women. Here's Chris Temple.
Goal for Arsenal just 4 minutes in from Swedish striker Stina Blackstenius. Ball over the top, inside right. Blackstenius looked up, saw the keeper off her line and lobbed it into the back of the net from a wide position. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1.
Always good to get a good start in a North London derby. You can listen to Manchester United women against West Ham from 5:30 on Sports Extra here on 5 Live. International football, Euro 2024 qualifier. Scotland leading Cyprus by a 0-0. Opening game in the group. Aaron Hickey, who's looked really good at right wing back, he's dancing over the ball just outside the penalty area that Scotland are attacking. Gives it back in the midfield to Ryan Jack, who just seemed to lose. Sorry, there's McGregor actually seemed to lose the ball between his feet and had to dig it out again as he played the pass forward. And Cyprus briefly regained possession but couldn't hold on to it. And a game that kicked off in blue skies and sunshine, it's now become much more overcast at Hampden. Here comes McGinn, just on the edge of the penalty area. Right hand side of Scotland come forward. Good battling by Hickey to try and keep the chance alive after a loose pass. And then a firm challenge comes in from Callum McGregor, and that is going to be a free kick to Cyprus, left wing back position for them. Here's Alan Hutton.
It's the one thing that you want from the likes of Hanley at the back there. We spoke about them trying to break on them fast. He needs to talk to people round about him to make sure there's cover back there, because it's the one thing that the Cypriots have got in their favour is trying to hit on the counter. You need to be careful what's going on round about you when you're throwing that many Scotland players forward to create something.
Yeah, just looking at the way they've lined up again, I think they've still got 3 at the back, or 5 at the back, the wing backs as well. So no change of system from the Cypriots.
Grant Hanley put under a bit of pressure just outside his own penalty area, and he was adjudged to have been fouled by Yanis Pitas of Apoel Limassol. Free kick to Scotland, which has been taken. Robertson rolls it back in to Grant Hanley once again. Grant Hanley, who scored against Austria this day 2 years ago. That was the game that John McGinn had the dramatic bicycle kick in. It's McGinn's side-footed finish that has Scotland in front here today. 1-0 they lead. Early stages of the second half and 5 Live. And this is Chambos Kyriakos who made his international debut against Northern Ireland a few years back. He's barely missed a game since, regular in the team, the number 10. A few passes on the halfway line, but it almost feels inevitable that possession given up. The referee's actually going to give it a free kick to Cyprus. There was a push by Aaron Hickey, I think, free kick to Cyprus on the halfway line, but right from the get-go the visitors are struggling to put passes together, and they've only had one period in the game when they put more than sort of 8-10 passes together in a row. It's just not happened for them. This is Roberge, one-time Sunderland player. His poor pass immediately gives away possession to Ryan Jack, and now Che Adams will attack the Cypriot penalty area down the left-hand side. Tried to deliver a ball. John McGinn, who else should make a surging run through the middle, but Che Adams' attempted pass to him was cut out. Adams will get another chance here, but a heavy first touch sees the ball spin out of play, and that is, but I thought it had gone out of play first before it came back in again, and then the last touch off the defender, but the referee has given the corner kick to Scotland.
I mean, it's definitely something that Che Adams gives you. He doesn't give defenders a moment's peace. It's a poor touch, but I think it's just on the line, and then it makes Gogic have to dive in there, and it's a corner.
And Robertson plays this one short, and Castanos slides in and puts it out for a corner once again. Left-hand side of the field, as Scotland come forward. We've played 5 minutes in the second half. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. 1 yellow card each in the game so far. Robertson raises that right hand as a signal again. Here it comes, left-footed, high swirling towards the back post. Everyone had run to the front post, so crossed wires there for Scotland, and the corner is cleared away. Not very far, mind you. Throw into the hosts, deep inside Cypriot territory on the far side of the pitch. Scotland are trying to inject a bit of pace. You can see things like that, throw-ins, corners, they're taking them quickly. They don't want Cyprus any opportunity to relax. They want to keep them on their toes. Here is Callum McGregor on his 50th cap for Scotland. Gives it to Ryan Jack on the right-hand side. Infield again to McGregor. Nicely worked. Attempt of a little dinked ball into the penalty area, though, doesn't work, and Cyprus get the chance to clear the ball away, but once again they struggle to hold on to it, and Robertson commits a foul on Castanos, and a free kick to Cyprus.
Closing down though, isn't it, for Scotland? They're not giving the Cypriots much chance. You know, they're not playing the ball out, they're not that technically gifted in the midfield, but if you give even average players, you know, they're not average, but if you give players that are not as good as you space, they can look very good. Scotland just have not given them space for the vast majority of this game so far.
And Cyprus, who have won the opening game of each of their last 2 European Championship qualifying campaigns. They beat Bosnia in 2014, they beat San Marino in 2019, but behind here, Scotland's lead, a goal to 0. Steve Clarke would certainly like the insulation, the little insurance package of a second goal here to really make things comfortable for the home side. Robertson has possession just inside the Cypriot half. Back to Kieran Tierney, back in field to Grant Hanley once again.
I mean, you wonder if Kitsbaya is actually thinking at half-time, or now do I make a change, because sitting back like this, you're just inviting the pressure on, and it's probably a matter of time, hopefully, before Scotland gets something. Do they change it? Do they stick? Do they twist?
Now, they've not made a change in system, personnel, but no system change whatsoever. Just the same game. But there's plenty of teams that do that. They think, okay, we'll just survive and maybe have a go for the last 10 or 15 minutes. That backfires if you go 2-0 down.
Yellow card shown to Nicholas Iaianu, the player with the protective face mask on. Challenge on Aaron Hickey. Free kick to Scotland inside their opponent's half. Callum McGregor standing over it, the third most capped player in this Scotland squad. Gives it short to Ryan Jack. He plays a 1-2 with Aaron Hickey. Scotland's passing in the central midfield area has been very, very, very good today. As Hanley plays the ball that's too far in front of Kieran Tierney, and it goes out for a throw-in to Cyprus, right full-back position for them.
There was a wee bit of that in the first half, you know, trying to force it when there's no real need to force it. You've got good possession there. I mean, you want to play at high tempo when you can, but when the ball's not on there, just keep it. You know, they won't enjoy chasing after the ball, which they're having to do most of the time, Cyprus.
Yeah, and that's what we said earlier. It's such a big pitch, they will tire. There's going to be spaces, so if they continuously move the ball around quickly, that's where they're getting opportunities.
Bit of pressure by Che Adams in on Dimitru, the Cyprus goalkeeper, and he's managed to smuggle it away to Roberge on the byline. He eventually puts the big boot in it and just clears his line. Cyprus almost caught playing their way out from the back for a moment there. Clears away down the other end, back to Angus Gunn. And wearing all yellow, he launches it. He's not done that very often today. Sending it long into the Cypriot half. McGinn beaten in the air. And then Scotland regained possession of the halfway line. McGregor very neat and tidy. Down goes McGinn under a challenge from Spoljaric. Scotland aren't going to get a free kick, and that's why you hear the boos in the background. So elsewhere in this group, the other teams in action today, Spain and Norway, play in a 7:45 game later on tonight. Wales are in Croatia this evening, a game you can hear on Sports Extra. Che Adams tries to take it with him on the edge of the penalty area. Gokic does well. Challenge, no margin for error there inside the penalty area, but he wins the ball cleanly against the Southampton striker. The other game in Wales group, Armenia against Turkey, starts at 5 o'clock. That is Group D. League 1, Portsmouth 0, Port Vale 1, an early goal for Port Vale in those 3 o'clock games. And in League 2, Wimbledon 1-0 in front against Barrow, and we told you about Northampton's lead away at Doncaster. You're up to date on 5 Live. Here is Aaron Hickey weaving in front of the Cypriot penalty area, and for the first time today he sends a wayward pass and it goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think Scotland got a real problem up front now. I don't think Che Adams can carry on. He got a kick, when it went down, we thought it may have been a penalty kick, and I think he pulled a little bit of a calf in that earlier one just near the end of the first half, and just in the start of the second half he looks to me as if he's labouring quite a bit.
So who would you bring on to
Dykes
replace
is
him?
up on us a bit. The most obvious one, Dykes, is physical. He's trying to run it off just now, but you can tell he keeps on looking over at the bench.
But I think if Dykes does come on, it maybe changes the way that Scotland play a little. They can go direct, see some of the longer balls, and then they play off him.
No, he's gone down now. He's sat down. Sometimes you have to look at players' body language. He was limping a little bit, but it's the continuous looking over towards the bench as if to say, I've got a problem here.
You can actually see it looks like he's rubbing his calf, to be honest, so I think you're right, Pat. Cool. I think he could have maybe had a wee pull or a wee nick there.
Yeah, they're not even waiting for it because he's such an important player for Scotland. He will be needed if you can get him back on the pitch for the game in Spain. So I mean, Stevie Clark would have been considering some possible changes at some point around about the hour mark. He's not going to wait any longer.
Che Adams, who's got 5 international goals, scored his most recent game for the club, the 3-3 draw against Tottenham last weekend. Roddy Forsyth's alongside me. Roddy.
Was the fact that Lyndon Dykes had recently suffered from pneumonia, and that they were concerned about preserving his strength and not causing him any kind of relapse in physical condition.
Right, thanks, Roddy. Let's get an update from Peterborough United against Derby County in League 1. Here's Aaron Paul.
Peterborough 0, Derby 0, nothing much going on so far. Derby dominating possession in these early stages. Nathaniel Mendes-Lang and David McGoldrick just a cut above of everyone else on the pitch. Still no breakthrough though, 0-0.
Charlton Athletic are hosting Wycombe Wanderers at the Valley. Here's Nick Godwin.
0-0. Wycombe started the strongest. David Wheeler heading wide in the first minute. Charlton have just started to come back into it. A couple of dangerous crosses, nothing more though. Still 0-0.
At the very impressive Stadium MK, where every seat's got a great view. John Hunt is watching MK Dons against Morecambe.
And it's 60 minutes gone here, 0-0 the score, Connor. But I wonder whether both sides will be paralysed by fear right down the bottom of the league. Not really a bit of it. Both teams trying to play. Jonathan Lecco's had 2 chances for MK Dons, and Mo Issa a long-range shot as well. Ash Hunter returned the fray as well for Morecambe, but it's 0-0.
Thanks very much, John. Here in Hampden, 57 minutes on the clock. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. Steve Clarke's team unable to build on the lead given to them after 21 minutes by John McGinn. Cyprus not exactly threatening themselves, but will this change in attack now with the introduction of Lyndon Dykes bring a more fruitful end to the game for Scotland?
It's just where the nerviness comes in now for Scotland. There was just a moment there, I'm sure Alan spotted it as well. One touch move, launched for miles. Scotland were almost caught out with it, so it's just one or two nervy moments beginning to percolate through the crowd, even not so much even for the players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I said it just before. Grant Hanley needs to speak to who's round about him. He gets caught slightly under the ball, he heads the ball up, and it gives them that opportunity.
There's no reason why you shouldn't have one behind you. You have 2 centre backs there. Look, one mark, one get behind. Simple old style stuff.
Exactly.
Lyndon Dykes has come on, hasn't scored for his club Queen's Park Rangers since November. Roddy mentioned the pneumonia. He'd Missed 7 weeks for Queen's Park Rangers, had a spell in hospital, but back to full fitness now. And Scotland have a new target man to aim for. They're playing from right to left as we look down this new retro style kit. As Tierney launches it long down the left hand side, just too high for Robertson, but he might keep it in play, does he? Yes, he does, down by the corner flag. Well worked by the Liverpool left-sided defender. Stuart Armstrong passes infield to Callum McGregor. Armstrong dinks it over the top. Robertson's onside to the byline, hangs it in. 3 players in there, but it's too high for all of them. Aaron Hickey will sprint out of the penalty area to hold on to possession for Scotland, and they've worked it very well. McGinn back out to Hickey again, crossing position on the right, feeds it to John McGinn, left-footed and in too high again. And that's happened a few times now, overcooking deliveries, costing Scotland at the moment.
Yeah, it's just that little pass, that just little bit of extra, just calm down, pick it out in the last third. It's just letting them down. But when Scotland up the tempo, when you're seeing there, they're playing the quick 1-2s round the corner, get back on the ball, something happens.
Straight to the valley, a goal in League One. Charlton against Wickham and Nick Godwin.
Charlton 1, Wickham 0. Miles Leaburn tucking home from an Albie Morgan cross down the right hand side. This is not what playoff chasing Wickham had in mind. They trail Charlton by a goal to 0.
And here in Hampden we have reached the hour mark. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. Throw into the Cypriots right hand side as they come forward. Minas Antoniou will take it, a player who's come back from a bad ACL injury in recent times. But he's surged forward here after he got the ball back, runs into Kieran Tierney, and it's launched long, and Lyndon Dykes is on the prowl, but Gogic holds his nerve on the edge of the D and comfortably clears the ball away. Spoljaric will go long himself. This is down the right channel. Kyriakou's made a run. Now he's picked up possession level with the edge of the penalty area that Cyprus attacks. He's wide on the right hand side. He's got Tierney leaning into him, and he's put it straight out of play for a throw into Scotland. No teeth at all in the Cyprus attack.
So far. And I say that because there feels as if there's a little bit of a change in this game just now. Scotland aren't quite as dominant, not getting flying forward on that left hand side quite the same way as they were before. There's a wee bit of legginess up with a number of players, and the other thing to keep an eye on, there's a couple of players that Cyprus have got to come on, attack minded players who would normally be starters, so this game's not over.
Let's check in at Victoria Park. League 2, Hartlepool United against Leyton Orient. Here's Ellen Ellard.
Yeah, still Hartlepool 0, Leyton Orient 0. Best chance so far fell to the league leaders. A weak Jordan Brown header into the hands of Stolicic in the Hartlepool goal following an outswinging George Moncur corner. Paul Smith has also made some great runs, but just lacking final product at the minute. Hartlepool 0, Leyton Orient 0.
Thanks very much. Stevenage, who started the day in 3rd position, are hosting Salford City. Sahil Sahi is there.
Yeah, 20 minutes played here, Connor. Still Stevenage 0, Salford 0, but it's a good watch. Stevenage have come close twice through Luke Norris, and Salford had an opportunity. Callum Hendry, he was inches away. Stevenage 0, Salford 0.
Thanks very much. A reminder that tomorrow we've got England in action once again. 5 o'clock kick-off, England against Ukraine, as Callum McGregor tried to link up the second half of a 1-2 with Stuart Armstrong, but it broke down just on the edge of the Cyprus penalty area. And Dimitris Dimitriou clears the ball out as Lafis up to the halfway line to Arti Matas, back into the midfield again.
Can you not feel the quietness here? I feel that this feels to me like tension, a little bit of quietness. Scotland haven't controlled the ball. I expect these attack-minded players to come on from Cyprus quite soon. Scotland could really do with getting a grip of this game before it gets away from them.
It looks like Scotland are just calling in Billy Gilmour there, so I think it is round about that time. You're talking about the 60-minute mark where it has went a little bit stale. Can they bring somebody on to get back on the ball, make something happen?
Billy Gilmour, who's struggled for game time with his club Brighton and Hove Albion. No shortage of good midfielders in that squad, but Steve Clarke looks like he's getting ready to introduce a young man who's often done very, very well in a Scotland shirt. Kieran Tierney has possession midway inside his own half, and he's gone long here, long and searching, looking for Andy Robertson, tries to cushion a header in for himself to run in field. Difficult to execute that, and Antonio was able to intercept and clear it away. And then a free kick has been given away, and McGregor, I think, on Arti Matas. Free kick to Cyprus inside the centre circle, and chance for the visitors to push some bodies forward in a cautious sense by their standards, and they're still not going gung-ho at it here. But I think Timur Ketspire, the former Newcastle player, now manager of Cyprus, will be thinking maybe, just maybe, his team are getting a foothold back in this game.
Yeah, I felt it for about 5 or 6 minutes now. A little bit of the gaps are beginning to show. I mean, Scotland have also got gaps to get into as well. They're just not making anywhere near as good use of them.
Hanley's got some mopping up to do on the edge of the area, rolls it back to Angus Gunn. I just wonder though, if Cyprus are to get brave and maybe commit a bit more forward, could that open the door for Scotland to get a second down the other end? Castanos is slow back to his feet. He's the player who was booked for diving earlier on, so the crowd are giving him a bit of stick. And Tierney, 10 yards inside his own half, rolls it to Stuart Armstrong on the left. Andy Robertson has got up, playing like an out-and-out left winger now, proper number 11 on the left-hand side. Tierney back to Grant Hanley, low ball over the halfway line to Stuart Armstrong. He tries to spin away from Spoljaric, and he's done really well. Armstrong leaves the defender for dead. Now Andy Robertson in the penalty area, tried to lay it up for Aaron Hickey, and agonisingly for Scotland, it seeps in front of him and out for a goal kick. The goal at the mercy for Scotland. Robertson unselfishly tried to pick out his teammate, and Scotland failed to put it in the net.
Do you think Andy was unselfish? Was it half between a cross and a shot, maybe?
Well, that's one of the ones your mind just tells you to shoot, but you actually half cross it. So I think he was kind of in between. It was too far in front. It made it very difficult for Hickey to try and go on the end of it.
Hickey definitely couldn't get to that there. Got in a brilliant position there. And as I said, we were talking beforehand, Scotland were beginning to lose a bit in the midfield. And they're going to bring in massive reinforcements.
Aaron Hickey is looking for his first international goal. He hasn't scored yet for Brentford. He did get 5 goals in Serie A last season. Here's Armstrong, a shot from distance, and saved by Dimitru. Scotland need this. Just, get the supporters clapping again. Just get a bit of action going, and as you mentioned, Pat, things have become a little bit quiet in Hampden.
Yeah, Scotland fans, they know their football, and it was celebration all the way till half time. But because it's not started the same way, there's no dominance of the game anymore. It's definitely not been dominated by Scotland in this second half. They seem to have run out of legs, and maybe Jack has slowed down a little bit in this second half. You need energy in there, you need control of the game in there. And maybe McTominay's a very good player to bring on in these circumstances.
Yeah, 25 minutes to play. Scotland lead 1-0. Ryan Christie and Scott McTominay waiting patiently on the sidelines for their introduction. Cyprus are going to make a change too, but here comes Andy Robertson, left-hand side of the midfield as Scotland come forward, playing right to left as we look down. The navy shirts, white shorts, red socks. Cyprus in white. This is Tierney cutting in off the touchline left-hand side, giving it short to McGregor, who's got teammates all around him. Sets off on a run down the left wing. He'll do well to keep this in play, and sliding across to stop him is Antonio, and that's going to be a throw into Scotland, who will remain on the attack down the left hand side, and this break in play gives the opportunity to make the changes. So Scott McTominay is going to come on in place of Stuart Armstrong. Ryan Christie is also about to make his introduction, and while we wait for that, let's go back to Doncaster against Northampton and Betty Glover.
Doncaster 0, Northampton 1. Northampton still leading thanks to Matt Pinnock's goal 2 minutes in. Doncaster trying to produce some sort of reaction here. They did have a small chance through Olowu, who headed one wide, but that's about it. It's Doncaster 0, Northampton 1.
And to Crawley who host Rochdale this afternoon. Good afternoon, Paul Scott.
Hi Connor, 26 minutes gone. Crawley 0, Rochdale 0. The best chance in this match coming inside the opening 25 seconds. Crawley forward Ashley Nason seeing his shot saved by Richard O'Donnell. Crawley 0, Rochdale 0.
And an update from the North London derby in the WSL at Brisbane Road. Chris Temple.
It remains Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1. That goal on 5 minutes from Stina Blackstenius. Spurs came back with a strong chance of their own through Drew Spence, a tame shot in the end wide, and a moment ago Amy Turner sliding in to deny Arsenal a possible second goal in the 6-yard box. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1.
Thanks, Chris. So Scotland lead Cyprus by 1-0 here. Ryan Jack has been replaced by Ryan Christie. Scott McTominay has come on in place of Stuart Armstrong. 2 changes for the visitors as well. Charalambous, who was in Arsenal's youth academy as a kid, who scored his first international goal in a friendly in November against Israel. He has been brought on, and they've also brought on Andronikos Kakuli, who scored 2 goals against Northern Ireland last summer. Here comes Scotland into the penalty area. Big chance. Shot from Ryan Christie is blocked by a defender inside the 6-yard box. Aaron Hickey tries to keep the chance alive, sends in a cross, challenging for it was Lyndon Dykes, couldn't get his head to it. Tierney's the latest to deliver, too much on that one though, and it bounces straight out of play. Scotland banging on the door, but can't get that second, not yet.
It was really unlucky there. I mean, good phase of play. The substitutes all combined in. McTominay having a shot, Christie having a shot. They're just up in the pressure. It just shows you the subs can make a difference. They've got a great squad when they come on. They can make something happen.
Yeah, you want it to be lifted. They have immediately lifted it for Scotland.
VAR has said they want to have a penalty check. I don't think this is going to take too long. No, it is. He's been asked to. Yes, no. Play on. Check complete. No penalty.
Had me excited there.
Yeah. I think Roberge, there was maybe a suggestion that he dragged him back there, but I don't think it was anything at all.
Kakuli, who's come on to replace Pittas, who didn't have much to feed off, leading the line for Cyprus.
Kyriaki coming off as well. I have to say, I expected a lot more of him to do. I don't think he had a great game.
Charalambous has come on, played home and away against Manchester United in the Europa League earlier on this season. Just the one goal separating the teams here at Hampden, but another goal to tell you about at Brisbane Road with Chris Temple.
And two separated them here, Connor. It's Arsenal by 2-0. Caitlin Ford driving through midfield and placing a 20-yard shot low in off the right-hand post. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 2.
Today is the opening day of the Women's Six Nations. Ireland had the best of the men's competition, but it's not starting well for the Irish today. Wales 31, Ireland 0 is the latest in a game that kicked off at 1:30. You can listen to the closing stages of that right now over on our sister station BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. This is Arti Matas for Cyprus, who are just hoping they're not out of this yet. Through ball in front of Kakuli, but too far in front of him, and it goes out for a goal kick to Angus Gunn. So 20 minutes to play, Pat Nevins. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0.
Yeah, we never do it the easy way. And remember the history of lots of goals. These games have ended up one goal, between the two teams. It looks as if it could be more than that in the first half. In the second half, it's got a lot tighter, and a number of players have fallen out of the game. McGinn, who always goes 100 miles an hour, falling out of the game a little bit. We could see a little bit more of John.
Last time these sides met, Scotland needed a last-minute goal to win it. For now, they've got the one-goal lead. And here is Ryan Christie, fresh legs, having recently come on as a substitute. Challenged, though, by Spoljaric. Loose ball falls to McGregor. Free kick has been given to Cyprus. Christie a little bit over-enthusiastic, having lost the ball. He then fouled the opponent. Free kick to Cyprus, 15 yards outside their own penalty area.
You were talking a few moments ago about some of the cross balls haven't been great. I mean, noticeably quite poor, going like 20 yards higher than they should do. I think that actually might come down to the conditions. It's something we never talk about because you never have to. But it does seem to be cutting out quite badly in certain areas down there.
Cyprus have possession inside their own half. Konstantinos Laifis tries to bring it into Scottish territory. Ball had gone out of play on the far side though before he brought it back in again, and that is going to be a throw-in to Scotland just over the halfway line. Two balls on the pitch briefly. Hickey then trying to take the throw-in from the wrong place. Referee sends him back. Throw-in to Scott McTominay, operating in the middle of the midfield now, who rolls it back to Grant Hanley. The volume has been turned up a little bit more now at Hampden. National pride being shown, support to the players on the pitch who still have worked to see this through despite Scotland's dominance. This isn't in the bag yet.
See, sometimes as a player, this is what you need. When they talk about the 12th man, the Tartan Army, this is what you need for them to get behind you. The players hear it, it gives them a lift, look, and then they're on the front foot.
Here comes Scott McTominay. 20, 25, now 30 yards into the Cypriot half. Low ball in. Hickey tried to spike it up for himself, but before he could swing his boot at the half volley, it was cleared away. And now Ioannou, with good pace, comes sprinting over the halfway line, runs into Hanley, who can't stop him, and it nearly ran through for Kakuli. That's about as threatening a counter-attack as Cyprus have had in the game, but they didn't get anywhere near the penalty area. And one of the Scotland defenders is down and slow to get back up to his feet.
Yeah. And once again, it's the same thing with Cyprus all the time. They have got a lot of pace, especially in the breaking down the left-hand side there. Bit of a tackle on the far side there. Just see who went down.
Tierney who's gone down. So Scotland will want to make sure that he is okay. Well, we've got a break in play here. Scotland leading Cyprus by 1-0. Let's check on Peterborough United against Derby with Aaron Paul in League One.
Peterborough 0, Derby 0, but Derby have had the best opportunity of this game. Connor, great work by David McGoldrick down this right hand side. He fed in Connor around 1-on-1. Good save by Will Norris in the posh goal. Peterborough 0, Derby 0.
And elsewhere in League One, Charlton Athletic hosting Wycombe Wanderers. Here's Nick Godwin.
And Charlton lead 1-0. Wycombe, though, are coming on strong. Chem Campbell with a brilliant bicycle kick, expertly turned away by Ashley Maynard-Brewer in the Charlton goal. So Wycombe are starting to come back into it. They still trail Charlton by 1-0.
Thanks very much. Here at Hampden, the clock ticks on. And by the time stoppages are added, there will still be a good 20 minutes to play here. As a run from midfield, Artie Mattis is taken down, and that is going to be a yellow card, surely.
Look,
Ryan Porteous.
Just as well they brought him down, because Aaron Hickey's struggling there. He's holding his thigh, and whoever it was, I'm not exactly sure what Cypriot midfielder got it, but he got up and he tried to play it quickly over to his side, knowing that he was having a problem.
It actually is quite concerning for Scotland. You look at it, Scotland are very rarely they had that little bit of a burst towards the opponent's goal just when they made the substitution. Apart from that, second half, there's not much to report.
Sean McGinn's goal separates the teams. A rare attacking set piece for Cyprus, taken by Castanos into the penalty area. Porteous has just picked up a yellow, wins the header on the edge of the penalty area. Tierney's clearance is good, finds Ryan Christie, who rides a challenge, and was he taken down? He was by Antonio, but no whistle. No free kick for Scotland. Cyprus hold on to possession, and it's getting a bit nervy for Scotland now with their 1-goal lead.
It is getting nervy, and you can hear it. I thought that was a foul. I thought he'd done really well to get down the line, rode the tackle, but then he was brought down, so I thought that was a foul.
Porteous, who picked up his yellow card for a carbon copy challenge, for which Stuart Armstrong saw yellow in the first half, a deliberate trip to deny a counter-attack. And here is another pull on the shirt and another free kick to Cyprus. And Ryan Christie's been fired up. He's not been starting for Bournemouth recently. He wants to make his impression here for Scotland. Did well in the games back in September, Ryan Christie.
I just think there's overloads beginning to happen now. You see the Cypriots have had 2 against 2 up front there. They didn't play the ball quickly enough. Worrying moments.
Charlambos gives it out to the left-hand side. This is Nafis trying to wriggle and find some room. The defender is young Aaron Hickey. He's just standing his ground. McTominay comes back to help. Good strength from Scott McTominay, who's able to shrug off the opponent. McGinn turning on the edge of his own penalty area. That was a little bit high risk, but he knew what he was doing, and he clears it away towards Lyndon Dykes, but Scotland can't hold on to it. Look at Andy Robertson down there. He's ushering his team out. He thinks Scotland is sitting too deep.
Exactly. I mean, you can see him. He's going crazy at the back line to try and get up, because the Cypriots are coming onto the game. They're getting possession higher up, making things happen, so they need to be careful.
Quarter of an hour to play. Cyprus seeing much more of the ball now. Spoljaric back to Alex Gogic. There is a goal at Crawley against Rochdale in League 2. Here's Paul Scott.
10 minutes to go until half-time. Crawley 1, Rochdale 0. Dom Telford with his back to goal 6 yards out allowed the time to turn. His low shot squirming under Richard O'Donnell in the Rochdale goal. It's Crawley 1, Rochdale 0.
Thanks very much, Paul. Cyprus have possession inside their own half. Ball is played forward down the right wing, and a miscontrol as Charlambos is unable to keep it in play, and the Cypriots are preparing to make more changes here. Scotland 2.
Well, 2 attackers are going to bring on as well, so that's going to help them a little bit. I mean, they've been looking quite good in the second half. It looks as if they've got pace to cause us Scotland problems, but certainly another 2 players coming on now, and I think Scotland will have to make a change, as spotted by man to my right here, because right back's going to have to change.
Yeah, Patterson is getting ready to come on. Scotland in possession. It is interesting that Timur Katspaya, the former Georgia international, former Newcastle and Wolves player, now manager of Cyprus, just feels that extra presence up front, this could be the time for Cyprus to to take advantage. They don't have long to go, 13 minutes.
This is what I was saying earlier. I wonder how long he's going to give it before he makes a change from the formation he was playing, because it wasn't really happening. Now he sees a little maybe chink in the armour. Right, it's time to go for it now. Let's get the attacking players on. There's enough time to go and try and make something happen.
Steve Clarke calls across John McGinn, and he's giving him some detailed instructions. So double change coming up for the visitors. Castanos is going to come off while they make those substitutions. Back to MK Dons against Morecambe in League One, and here's John Hunt.
Still 0-0 here, Connor, after 37 minutes. No doubt MK Dons have had the better chances and looking the more lively side. Jonathan Lecco and Mo Issa particularly dangerous when they get room in behind that back three. But at the moment, Morecambe holding out. It's MK Dons 0, Morecambe 0.
And into League Two, how are the leaders getting on? Ellen Ellard's at Victoria Park.
Still Hartlepool 0, Leyton Orient 0. Big chance for Aaron Drinnan sliding in to try and tuck in a low cross at the near post. Down the other end, good defensive work from Omar Beckles to deny Hartlepool an opener. Hartlepool 0, Leyton Orient 0.
And an update from Stevenage against Salford City, also in League Two. Sahil Sahi.
First half here, Connor, still 0-0 between Stevenage and Salford, and still Stevenage poor forward. Jamie Reid, Jake Reeves and Alex Skilby with the efforts this time. Stevenage 0, Salford 0.
Now Arsenal are up to a very good start against Tottenham in the WSL. There's been another goal at Brisbane Road. Here's Chris Temple to tell us about it.
And Tottenham opened the game up, Connor. Tottenham 1, Arsenal 2. Bethany England from the penalty spot after Katie McCabe was judged to have blocked Ashley Neville's shot with her arm. England's penalty low into the bottom left. Tottenham 1, Arsenal 2.
And Wales still lead Ireland in the Women's Six Nations by 31 points to 0. You can listen to commentary of that on Sports Extra. Approaching the final 10 minutes at Hampden. Cyprus are growing in confidence all the time. Scotland have been forced to play deeper and deeper. Ball into the penalty area. Tsisonis has come on as a new attacker, jumps forward. Flag is raised. Cyprus offside and a free kick. The clock is moving slowly now for the Scots.
And they've changed their system as well. They've really gone for it, because Tsianis comes on for Tsianis. That's fair enough up front. That's just change for change. They've taken Gogic off centre back, and they've brought another attacking player on, Miuzu. And this is a team that think they can do it. There is no doubt in my mind. They believe they can go and get something out of this game, and they are controlling it now.
Another goal at Crawley. Paul Scott.
Crawley have doubled their advantage. 2 goals in 5 minutes. Across from the right was headed home by Dion Conroy. Up from the back, bouncing once across the face of goal and into the far corner. Crawley 2, Rochdale 0.
This is 5 Live from the BBC. We're also live on BBC Sounds. Opening day of Group A of qualifiers for Euro 2024. Scotland off to a good start with that goal after 21 minutes for John McGinn, but they have struggled to add to that lead, and Cyprus growing and growing as the game continues, and Scotland just hoping that they'll run out of time here before they actually get an equaliser. Delay in play as some treatment might be needed for Valentin Roberge. There's no interest for Cyprus to waste time, so he must be hurt.
No, he was hurt. He got one right in the face. Yep, right in the chin there, elbow. Don't think it was deliberate.
Just a word on Aaron Hickey, who did very well. Today only his 5th cap, being replaced by Nathan Patterson. Let's go back to League Two. Doncaster Rovers against Northampton. Here's Betty Glover.
Still Northampton leading 1-0. Doncaster did though get their first effort on target. 29 mins in. Lavery met Brown's cross, but his header went straight into the keeper's hands. It's Doncaster 0, Northampton 1.
Dykes on the charge towards the penalty area. Well-timed challenge by Lafise. Puts it out for a throw-in to Scotland.
It was a really good challenge, to be fair. I just thought one step early, could he just made the decision then? If you had John McGinn busting into the box, could he try and pick somebody out? But he just didn't quite have the pace to go on by the defender.
Cyprus, who have not created a chance to worry Angus Gunn, really. There was the one outrageous long-range attempt in the first half that was off target. They haven't had a shot on. They haven't had many touches at all inside the Scottish penalty area. Robertson delivers a low cross that's just in front of Lyndon Dykes. That's the one he plays for Liverpool time and time again, and you'll have someone like Roberto Firmino or Mo Salah on the end of it. But on this occasion, Dykes didn't react quickly enough, and it whizzed through and out the other side. Scotland 1, Cyprus 0. 82 minutes now on the clock. Played forward by McGinn, but too much on it, too far ahead of Dykes.
I mean, it was a great ball, wasn't it? I mean, that's a dream for a number 9. I thought he was just going to fling himself at it, but was it a little bit too fast back?
Hey, if I'm a wide player, I play it between the goalkeeper and the centre backs. Perfect. I expect my centre forward to be there, and no one is in there taking a chance. But that's the first time Scotland have actually started doing that left wing trick that they were doing all the way through the first half. That's possibly the first time they've really done it to effect in the second.
This is competitive international football. The results matter more than the performances. If Scotland can see this through and top the group going into tonight's game between Spain and Norway, it will be job done for Steve Clarke today. But there's no doubt that there's a sense around here, and again a little hush around Hampden, that Scotland haven't been able to get the foot on the throat, haven't been able to turn the screw against what has looked to be an inferior opponent, but Scotland haven't been able to turn their possession and chances into further goals. 1-0 it remains for now.
I think sometimes you need to remember as well, it's the opening game of the group, so everything that goes along with it.
Spain are here on Tuesday, remember. This is Robertson, another chance to deliver from wide on the left, hangs it in, too high for Dykes. It'll scuttle through to the far side to Nathan Patterson. His delivery, right-footed, back to Robertson from where it came, and he's going to get a second bite here. Andy Robertson inside the penalty area, crosses in, dealt with just about by Lafise, and they should be able to clear it away here, Cyprus, as they do with Loiseau on the right-hand side. Scotland need to get bodies back. Arti Matas over the halfway line. As the game has gone on, there seems to be more space in the midfield for Cyprus. Arti Matas gets it back, the player who used to be in the Nottingham Forest Youth Academy, gives it to Nicholas Ioannou on the left hand side, now in field as they try to come forward with it. Charlie Ambus, and from a long way out it's played forward, but easily held on to by Angus Gunn.
I don't know, a bit of an intake of breath there. I think that took a deflection on the way through, and if it takes a deflection, if it goes the wrong way, there's nothing the goalkeeper can do about it. Turns on, it gets a little bit of power on it, but the deflection wasn't enough to take it away from Gunn.
It's about as heart-stopping a moment as Angus Gunn has been today, under pressure from the opponents. He'd one slip in the first half which he got away with, but that was an unforced error. Clearance from the back by Antoniou for Cyprus will go out of play for a throw-in to Scotland. 5 minutes of normal time to go.
I think Scotland just need to get their foot on the ball. As simple as that may sound, just make a few passes, run down the clock, see the game out. They don't have to force the ball and try and get a goal. We'd love to see one, but it's not the be all and end all. The result is.
It's kind of why I was kind of half hoping that Billy Gilmore would have been brought on, because it's probably, we've not got a better player alongside McGregor, you know, to get the foot in the ball. You play a little 1-2s, kill the game a little bit, drag the defenders or the midfielders away. We've not been able to do that in the second half. We haven't controlled the midfield.
England against Scotland to come in the Women's Six Nations at 4:45. You can listen to Manchester United women against West Ham women from 5:30 on Sports Extra. Later on we'll have commentary of Croatia against Wales, their Euro 2024 qualifier, 7:30 this evening on Sports Extra. Scotland 1-0 in front here at Hampden. Robertson plays it in front of Ryan Christie, who's hoping to do enough here to get a corner, and he does. Corner to Scotland with just minutes remaining until we find out what will be added on for stoppages.
The quality hasn't been good enough from Scotland's corners. I mean, I was saying before the game, they've worked hard on it, they've been quite successful in the last number of months, the last number of games, but so far they've not been that great. Let's hope we can change it here.
Many of the corners have been taken by Andy Robertson. This one's going to be delivered by Ryan Christie. Raises his hand as a signal, sends it in very high, too high for Hanley, and that has happened so many times now. It's become a feature. Over delivery of crosses throughout this game by Scotland.
And it's not just, you know, from set pieces, it's not really an excuse. You shouldn't have that as an excuse. I mean, if you're running with the ball now and again, it can happen that way, but Scotland's 8th corner and haven't really been that dangerous.
Good work by Ryan Christie. He charged down a clearance by Ioannou. He then sprinted to keep it in play. And here is a chance and a goal for Scotland by Scott McTominay. Sliding in the 6-yard box, delivering it high into the roof of the net. And there's no doubt about the outcome now. It had been nervy, but Scott McTominay relaxes Scotland's fans because it's 2-0 and Steve Clarke's team are set for an opening win in Group A of qualifiers. It's only a second international goal for the Manchester United midfielder. Scott McTominay, sprung from the bench, makes it Scotland 2, Cyprus 0.
And it's the three subs that combine to make that goal. Christie with the fresh legs gets down, obviously the right hand side, cuts back, left foot in. Dykes does ever so well just to cushion the header into McTominay's path. Touch and finish. Goalkeeper absolute no chance. great goal from a Scotland point of view, absolutely brilliant.
Do you know, I finished there. If that was Harry Kane finishing that, you'd be delighted with it. Takes it down with his knee just about, but he's a half volley. The goal is behind him, but he catches it perfectly. Brilliant. When things are going for you, they're going for you. Stevie Clarke is just signing a new contract. Everything he touches at the moment turns to gold. Even when his team wasn't playing well in the second half, his substitutions have made all the difference.
Another goal for Scott McTominay against Cypriot opponents. He scored against Nicosia in the Europa League in October. One of just 2 goals he's scored for his club this season. But McTominay with a goal that makes what was looking increasingly like a nervy ending at Hampden feel much more satisfactory now. There's only 90 seconds of the 90 minutes remaining, but Scotland have their 2-goal lead. John McGinn in the first half, Scott McTominay in the second, and they want more. Robertson into the area, blazes the shot over the crossbar.
Oh, it's a brilliant chance, and you cannot blame him. I know that the back post there, McGinn was in for arguably a tap-in, but it comes to Robertson. He's coming through at an angle. You can't blame him for having a go there. Yes, a tough angle. I don't think McGinn was absolutely clear, but you'd have had a go for that, wouldn't you?
With the same result is a problem.
Blazed over the bar, but we can all relax now. We're all very charming and happy at the moment, but up until the last 2 or 3 minutes you could feel the tension here. But I think everyone around here felt exactly the same feeling. And breathe.
Spain will be here at Hampden on Tuesday. Scotland might need a better overall performance in the 90 minutes if they're to take something against that illustrious opponent. But the mission for today was to get the opening win, to beat Cyprus, to get a first win in a European Championship qualifying campaign in the opening match since 2006. Scotland, who are so used to beginning these qualifying campaigns slowly and playing catch up, and having been at the finals at Euro 2020, Steve Clarke wants to get back on that big stage again, and this is the way to start it. An opening win in the group. Scott McTominay's goal giving Scotland much more comfort here now. We're about to slip into 5 minutes of stoppages being added on. There's been a few injury delays, few VAR hold-ups. There's backtracking. Lafise just wins the sprint against Lyndon Dykes and touches the ball back to the goalkeeper Dimitru. Cyprus had a much better second half than they had a first period, but not enough presence in around the Scotland penalty area to really make much of a case to say that they deserve more than they're going to get of this opening defeat in the group.
Cyprus, they come across as that team is at home, they could be a problem.
Oh yeah, took the words out of my mouth there, Alan. Absolutely.
They genuinely could. Here they were set up to contain, maybe try and hit in the break, get a set piece, but at home I think it could be different.
Marinos Sionis, who plays his club football in America now, he moved to MLS in January, plays with Sporting Kansas. Done well to get into the penalty area here, and still battling on. Sionis tried to turn onto his right boot. Scotland have got plenty of defenders, but this on the edge of the penalty area is a chance to shoot, and Antonio, who's never scored for his country, sends it the outside of the right boot and well wide of the target.
In the first 45 minutes I thought Cyprus would take points off of somebody in this group, and that might be important. Now, Scotland didn't need it to happen here at Hampden Park. However, looking at the second half, first half I thought, well, actually they're not that good. Looking at the second half, they will actually do some damage to somebody. They will be difficult, as Alan says, to play at home. And I think Stevie Clarke will come out with this and just say, doesn't matter, we got there, and that's all that matters, those 3 points as you suggested.
Angus Scone is 3 minutes of stoppages away from a clean sheet on his international debut. His family watching on proudly. He's not had all that much to do today, but when called upon, he's been solid for Scotland, as it's been given away here. Robertson and McGregor between them giving away possession. Cyprus try to counter-attack to the edge of the penalty area. Scott McTominay shows some neat juggling skills on the edge of the box to win it back, and Robertson will clear away, and no messing around there, just launches it up towards Lyndon Dykes, who's taken it very well on his chest. Then he's taken down by Spoljaric. Free kick. Not a great challenge from Spoljaric, who picks up the ball and throws it at Lyndon Dykes lying on the ground, and there's no need for that.
Centre forward players, that was tremendous. I mean, you talk about Harry Kane the other night and how well he done doing that. I mean, Lyndon Dykes, that was just a lump up the park for Robertson. Get as far up as you can, he's just taking it down, spun away. Brilliant.
Scott McTominay goal came in the 87th minute. Scotland leaving it late to secure what is surely going to be the win here. Ryan Christie's cross on the left-hand side. Can it get better? It's a chance. McTominay again! He scores! Side-footed into the bottom right-hand corner. What a cameo this is from Manchester United, Scott McTominay, who had only one international goal to his name before the last 5 minutes, and now he's scored 2 in this game. And there's no doubt about the outcome now. Scotland 3, Cyprus 0. The group is up and running for Steve Clarke's team.
Good thinking with him, really quick thinking. McGinn gets fouled there, but he doesn't stop. He plays it through to Christie without waiting. Cypriots have turned themselves off there, and McTominay, with that energy, gets him. We talked about this at the top of the game, didn't we? Scotland have got quality and depth now. Well, it shows.
Andy Robertson did the right thing there. Remember the last time when his shot went wild? He just took his time, assessed the situation, pulled it back. McTominay in a better area, side puts it in, game over.
Scott McTominay's one goal before today came against Israel, October 2021. He thoroughly enjoying his moment here now. He'll have been disappointed to begin this game on the bench, but that's how you respond. You come on and you make an impact like that. Cyprus cut offside after the restart. Free kick to Scotland, and the scoreline looks much more pleasant viewing now for Steve Clarke.
I mean, look at some of the stats. I mean, Scotland got more possession for most of the game. Was that a sending off? There's another card.
Yeah, the red card is out here. And I wonder if something's been said to the referee, because Scotland were taking a free kick. Nicholas Ioannou, who was booked earlier on in the game, the player with the protective face mask, appears to have been shown another yellow here. The referee has 2 cards, 1 yellow, 1 red in each hand, and he's pointing towards the touchline, and he's telling Ioannou that he's got to go off.
He's going to get booked again, by the way.
Sarcastic applause of the referee by Ioannou as he makes his way off, takes off the protective face gear.
Do you know what's happened? He's actually gone and launched the ball when he's going up for a free kick. He's halfway through the step to go and kick the ball from halfway line. He could have stopped himself, but that's a very harsh yellow. Very harsh second yellow, referee, with seconds to go.
So Cyprus, who were within a whisker, we felt, of an equaliser for so long, it's all crumbled for them in the closing stages. 2 goals late on after the 87th minute for Scott McTominay. Now the red card, and what had been a brave, stubborn fight to keep in the game from Cyprus has completely evaporated.
You just think a little bit of common sense for the ref there, and then the game's done. I mean, is there any real point? Just have a word with them, a little bit of common sense, keep the game going.
And he will now miss the trip to Yerevan on Tuesday to play Armenia. In fact, no, he won't miss that. That's the friendly. He'll miss the qualifier against Georgia the next game, which will be an interesting one, of course, because all of the Cyprus coaching staff are from Georgia, Timur Kespaya and his team. These sides will meet each other again in September. That'll be in Cyprus. And by then, Steve Clarke will hope to have a few wins on the board. But they've started as they really wanted to today. The full-time whistle blows at Hampden, and for Steve Clarke, just as it was in his very first match in charge of Scotland, it's a home win against Cyprus, and it came with late goals. McTominay will grab the headlines for his 2-goal flourish right at the very end. John McGinn continuing his wonderful knack of scoring for Scotland, and he remains by far the top scorer in this squad. This is a very positive start in the endeavour to qualify for Euro 2024 in Germany. Scotland's campaign is underway.
It is, and as I say, we can breathe now. I mean, over the piece, Scotland were the better side, but for a large part of that second half, it was quite unimpressive. The starts will look good, as I mentioned before, with lots of possession. I think it's 8 corners to 0. There was periods of time when we destroyed the opposition down the left-hand side in particular, but there was a period of time that game where it didn't look that impressive, and I think there are a number of tired players out there. If Scotland are going to get anything out of the next game against Spain, which we'll be covering here on 5 Live, I think you'll be here as well with this corner, I think we might have to keep on going for the whole 90.
Yeah, I mean, 3 goals, clean sheet, job done. The manager will be very happy. He'll know he'll need to step up a little bit for the game against Spain. But 3 points on the board, that is the main thing overall.
Scotland are up and running. Spain to come next. But it's an atmosphere of celebration in Hampden and a comprehensive scoreline. Scotland 3, Cyprus 0.
First time since 2006 that Scotland have won the opening Euro qualified. 2 wins since 1994. Gentlemen, thank you, but stay where you are because we're going to be back to wrap up that match very shortly.